Stuff TV. Group matches take place Monday to Friday in morning and evening slots as players compete in a series of eliminators. The 6 qualifying players contest the finals every Saturday evening. Round-robin group matches are followed by semi-finals and the final, producing a new winner each week. Every 13th week, the winners from the previous 12 weeks contest the MODUS Super Series Champions Week. The winner takes home the MODUS Super Series title and earns a place on the honours board. After Champions Week, the action starts again for week 1 of the next series. Introducing the MODUS Super Series, an exciting new weekly darts competition featuring top international players competing for more than £1 million in prize money. There is a new MODUS Super Series champion every 13 game weeks. The winner of MODUS Super Series 1 will be crowned on Saturday the 22nd of October 2022. So how does it work? 12 players compete every game week with live footage of every match broadcast 6 days per week on Sporty Stuff TV. Group matches take place Monday to Friday in morning and evening slots as players compete in a series of eliminators. The 6 qualifying players contest the finals every Saturday evening. Round-robin group matches are followed by semi-finals and the final, producing a new winner each week. Every 13th week, the winners from the previous 12 weeks contest the MODUS Super Series Champions Week. The winner takes home the MODUS Super Series title and earns a place on the honours board. After Champions Week, the action starts again for week 1 of the next series. Introducing the MODUS Super Series, an exciting new weekly darts competition featuring top international players competing for more than £1 million in prize money. There is a new MODUS Super Series champion every 13 game weeks. The winner of MODUS Super Series 1 will be crowned on Saturday the 22nd of October 2022. So how does it work? 12 players compete every game week with live footage of every match broadcast 6 days per week on Sporty Stuff TV. Group matches take place Monday to Friday in morning and evening slots as players compete in a series of eliminators. The 6 qualifying players contest the finals every Saturday evening. Round-robin group matches are followed by semi-finals and the final, producing a new winner each week. Every 13th week, the winners from the previous 12 weeks contest the MODUS Super Series Champions Week. The winner takes home the MODUS Super Series title and earns a place on the honours board. After Champions Week, the action starts again for week 1 of the next series. Introducing the MODUS Super Series, an exciting new weekly darts competition featuring top international players competing for more than £1 million in prize money. There is a new MODUS Super Series champion every 13 game weeks. The winner of MODUS Super Series 1 will be crowned on Saturday the 22nd of October 2022. So how does it work? 12 players compete every game week with live footage of every match broadcast 6 days per week on Sporty Stuff TV. Group matches take place Monday to Friday in morning and evening slots as players compete in a series of eliminators. The 6 qualifying players contest the finals every Saturday evening. Round-robin group matches are followed by semi-finals and the final, producing a new winner each week. Every 13th week, the winners from the previous 12 weeks contest the MODUS Super Series Champions Week. The winner takes home the MODUS Super Series title and earns a place on the honours board. After Champions Week, the action starts again for week 1 of the next series. Introducing the MODUS Super Series, an exciting new weekly darts competition featuring top international players competing for more than £1 million in prize money. There is a new MODUS Super Series champion every 13 game weeks. The winner of MODUS Super Series 1 will be crowned on Saturday the 22nd of October 2022. So how does it work? 12 players compete every game week with live footage of every match broadcast 6 days per week on Sporty Stuff TV. Group matches take place Monday to Friday in morning and evening slots as players compete in a series of eliminators. The 6 qualifying players contest the finals every Saturday evening. Round-robin group matches are followed by semi-finals and the final, producing a new winner each week. Every 13th week, the winners from the previous 12 weeks contest the MODUS Super Series Champions Week. The winner takes home the MODUS Super Series title and earns a place on the honours board. After Champions Week, the action starts again for week 1 of the next series. Introducing the MODUS Super Series, an exciting new weekly darts competition featuring top international players competing for more than £1 million in prize money. There is a new MODUS Super Series champion every 13 game weeks. The winner of MODUS Super Series 1 will be crowned on Saturday the 22nd of October 2022. So how does it work? 12 players compete every game week with live footage of every match broadcast 6 days per week on Sporty Stuff TV. Group matches take place Monday to Friday in morning and evening slots as players compete in a series of eliminators. The 6 qualifying players contest the finals every Saturday evening. Round-robin group matches are followed by semi-finals and the final, producing a new winner each week. Every 13th week, the winners from the previous 12 weeks contest the MODUS Super Series Champions Week. The winner takes home the MODUS Super Series title and earns a place on the honours board. After Champions Week, the action starts again for week 1 of the next series. Introducing the MODUS Super Series, an exciting new weekly darts competition featuring top international players competing for more than £1 million in prize money. There is a new MODUS Super Series champion every 13 game weeks. The winner of MODUS Super Series 1 will be crowned on Saturday the 22nd of October 2022. So how does it work? 12 players compete every game week with live footage of every match broadcast 6 days per week on Sporty Stuff TV. Group matches take place Monday to Friday in morning and evening slots as players compete in a series of eliminators. The 6 qualifying players contest the finals every Saturday evening. Round-robin group matches are followed by semi-finals and the final, producing a new winner each week. Every 13th week, the winners from the previous 12 weeks contest the MODUS Super Series Champions Week. The winner takes home the MODUS Super Series title and earns a place on the honours board. After Champions Week, the action starts again for week 1 of the next series. Introducing the MODUS Super Series, an exciting new weekly darts competition featuring top international players competing for more than £1 million in prize money. There is a new MODUS Super Series champion every 13 game weeks. The winner of MODUS Super Series 1 will be crowned on Saturday the 22nd of October 2022. So how does it work? 12 players compete every game week with live footage of every match broadcast 6 days per week on Sporty Stuff TV. Group matches take place Monday to Friday in morning and evening slots as players compete in a series of eliminators. The 6 qualifying players contest the finals every Saturday evening. Round-robin group matches are followed by semi-finals and the final, producing a new winner each week. Every 13th week, the winners from the previous 12 weeks contest the MODUS Super Series Champions Week. The winner takes home the MODUS Super Series title and earns a place on the honours board. After Champions Week, the action starts again for week 1 of the next series. Introducing the MODUS Super Series, an exciting new weekly darts competition featuring top international players competing for more than £1 million in prize money. There is a new MODUS Super Series champion every 13 game weeks. The winner of MODUS Super Series 1 will be crowned on Saturday the 22nd of October 2022. So how does it work? 12 players compete every game week with live footage of every match broadcast 6 days per week on Sporty Stuff TV. Group matches take place Monday to Friday in morning and evening slots as players compete in a series of eliminators. The 6 qualifying players contest the finals every Saturday evening. Round-robin group matches are followed by semi-finals and the final, producing a new winner each week. Every 13th week, the winners from the previous 12 weeks contest the MODUS Super Series Champions Week. The winner takes home the MODUS Super Series title and earns a place on the honours board. After Champions Week, the action starts again for week 1 of the next series. Introducing the MODUS Super Series, an exciting new weekly darts competition featuring top international players competing for more than £1 million in prize money. There is a new MODUS Super Series champion every 13 game weeks. The winner of MODUS Super Series 1 will be crowned on Saturday the 22nd of October 2022. So how does it work? 12 players compete every game week with live footage of every match broadcast 6 days per week on Sporty Stuff TV. Group matches take place Monday to Friday in morning and evening slots as players compete in a series of eliminators. The 6 qualifying players contest the finals every Saturday evening. Round-robin group matches are followed by semi-finals and the final, producing a new winner each week. Every 13th week, the winners from the previous 12 weeks contest the MODUS Super Series Champions Week. The winner takes home the MODUS Super Series title and earns a place on the honours board. After Champions Week, the action starts again for week 1 of the next series. Introducing the MODUS Super Series, an exciting new weekly darts competition featuring top international players competing for more than £1 million in prize money. There is a new MODUS Super Series champion every 13 game weeks. The winner of MODUS Super Series 1 will be crowned on Saturday the 22nd of October 2022. So how does it work? 12 players compete every game week with live footage of every match broadcast 6 days per week on Sporty Stuff TV. Group matches take place Monday to Friday in morning and evening slots as players compete in a series of eliminators. The 6 qualifying players contest the finals every Saturday evening. Round-robin group matches are followed by semi-finals and the final, producing a new winner each week. Every 13th week, the winners from the previous 12 weeks contest the MODUS Super Series Champions Week. The winner takes home the MODUS Super Series title and earns a place on the honours board. After Champions Week, the action starts again for week 1 of the next series. Introducing the MODUS Super Series, an exciting new weekly darts competition featuring top international players competing for more than £1 million in prize money. There is a new MODUS Super Series champion every 13 game weeks. The winner of MODUS Super Series 1 will be crowned on Saturday the 22nd of October 2022. So how does it work? 12 players compete every game week with live footage of every match broadcast 6 days per week on Sporty Stuff TV. Group matches take place Monday to Friday in morning and evening slots as players compete in a series of eliminators. The 6 qualifying players contest the finals every Saturday evening. Round-robin group matches are followed by semi-finals and the final, producing a new winner each week. Every 13th week, the winners from the previous 12 weeks contest the MODUS Super Series Champions Week. The winner takes home the MODUS Super Series title and earns a place on the honours board. After Champions Week, the action starts again for week 1 of the next series. Introducing the MODUS Super Series, an exciting new weekly darts competition featuring top international players competing for more than £1 million in prize money. There is a new MODUS Super Series champion every 13 game weeks. The winner of MODUS Super Series 1 will be crowned on Saturday the 22nd of October 2022. So how does it work? 12 players compete every game week with live footage of every match broadcast 6 days per week on Sporty Stuff TV. Group matches take place Monday to Friday in morning and evening slots as players compete in a series of eliminators. The 6 qualifying players contest the finals every Saturday evening. Round-robin group matches are followed by semi-finals and the final, producing a new winner each week. Every 13th week, the winners from the previous 12 weeks contest the MODUS Super Series Champions Week. The winner takes home the MODUS Super Series title and earns a place on the honours board. After Champions Week, the action starts again for week 1 of the next series. Introducing the MODUS Super Series, an exciting new weekly darts competition featuring top international players competing for more than £1 million in prize money. There is a new MODUS Super Series champion every 13 game weeks. The winner of MODUS Super Series 1 will be crowned on Saturday the 22nd of October 2022. So how does it work? 12 players compete every game week with live footage of every match broadcast 6 days per week on Sporty Stuff TV. Group matches take place Monday to Friday in morning and evening slots as players compete in a series of eliminators. The 6 qualifying players contest the finals every Saturday evening. Round-robin group matches are followed by semi-finals and the final, producing a new winner each week. Every 13th week, the winners from the previous 12 weeks contest the MODUS Super Series Champions Week. The winner takes home the MODUS Super Series title and earns a place on the honours board. After Champions Week, the action starts again for week 1 of the next series. Introducing the MODUS Super Series, an exciting new weekly darts competition featuring top international players competing for more than £1 million in prize money. There is a new MODUS Super Series champion every 13 game weeks. The winner of MODUS Super Series 1 will be crowned on Saturday the 22nd of October 2022. So how does it work? 12 players compete every game week with live footage of every match broadcast 6 days per week on Sporty Stuff TV. Group matches take place Monday to Friday in morning and evening slots as players compete in a series of eliminators. The 6 qualifying players contest the finals every Saturday evening. Round-robin group matches are followed by semi-finals and the final, producing a new winner each week. Every 13th week, the winners from the previous 12 weeks contest the MODUS Super Series Champions Week. The winner takes home the MODUS
biggest horses of the lot.
And in terms of the league table, it means Heneghan's top by a couple of points. Andy Hamilton just behind him, then Adam Smith-Neale. The other players, do you think they're out of it now?
I would say that the top 3 are very much in the race. I'm discounting the other 3. Blom's out of it. Painter could be out of it as soon as the first match today. But I think realistically, those guys know that Hamilton and Heneghan are going to be very hard to stop. But I think it's very hasty for us to say that Smith-Neale's out of it. He's only 4 points behind the top, and if he gets the right results going his way and he gets a little bit of help from someone against Heneghan early, there's no telling what he could do today.
Well, let's talk about those three players, those are the three men contenders. First of all, Conor Heneghan. 5 out of 5. We spoke to him yesterday. Very, very strong performance from him. He said, I'll just turn up and win 5 out of 5 tomorrow. In fact, he went and played a tournament last night. He won that as well. So he's in a very good position, isn't he?
As if you can't get enough of darts. Play 5 brilliant games during the Tuesday and you have to go and win something else. But that shows the hunger of youth, doesn't it? But coming into today, to have the mentality of I want to win 5 out of 5 again, that is pretty much the perfect attitude, because if he does that, he knows he's going to be in Saturday night without having to play on Thursday and Friday. So, fantastic mindset. And if you look at his consistency levels from Monday to Tuesday, less than 0.1 of a point between his overall average from Monday and Tuesday. Incredible consistency. And his best average, there was less than half a point between those two as well. So, we haven't seen his best stuff yet, but he's still been remarkably consistent and good enough.
He really has, and we saw him there hitting those winning darts against Kevin Painter in his last match. Also interesting that he came through this initially as a qualifier from what was then MAD, now ADC, which is cost settled by Steve Brown. So he's created something, hasn't he? Someone who's got to play.
So it's all Steve's fault. We've been saying that for a good 3 or 4 years about the Junior Darts Corporation, obviously the MAD project, which is now the ADC. But people are coming through from the ADC. And we've had Adam Atkinson, we've had some other people come through as well, like Tony Newell. And we are going to get some more familiar faces coming through that. But, yeah, Steve, it's all your fault, I'm afraid.
The other two we're going to talk about, Andy Hamilton just behind. We saw a really good day for Andy Hamilton. You said you saw him leaving the arena, and he was very happy with his work.
He had every right to feel happy about it. I've been really impressed with his 180 shooting this week. He's not got the most. He's only one behind Heneghan. But if you think about Andy's career, which has had quite a few matches in it, he's never really been noted as a massive 180 hitter. But this is the kind of shot that you would see from him in key moments. Now, look at where Smith-Neale is. He's on 60, with Andy on that 116 to save the match. That's class. Yeah,
that was massive from Andy Hamilton. And talking of Adam Smith-Neale, he's still in the hunt as well. Good sort of consistency from him without blowing the field aside any day.
He's lost a couple of really key matches by 4 legs to 3. And I think he needs the kind of start that he had on Monday. He was really strong in his first and second games, but if you look at this finish, this is proof of what he's capable of. Biggest finish of the week so far. Might not be the best at the end of today, though.
Well, the first match of today is Kevin Painter taking on Conor Heneghan. Now, we know where Conor sits in the table. If Kevin wins this match, he still keeps himself in contention for that top spot. We saw yesterday, fierce opponent for anyone, as he always is. But if Conor Heneghan manages to win it, then he rules Kevin out. They start playing for Group B. Just explain quickly what the benefit of playing in Group B is, because you always hear us saying that here at the Super Series.
I was actually talking to some of the players earlier in the week about this, and Matthew Edgar potentially on Monday. And having 3 spots available from 5 players in the group is a lot more inviting than 2 spots from 6 players in Group C. So the benefit of getting into Group B, there it is. You've got the extra spot, you've got to play less matches, and it's just a bit more fierce and a bit more likely that you're going to get through that group. So just because there is a potential for Kevin to not get the top spot, he will be gunning for that top 3 spot.
Well, all will be decided today here at the MODUS Live Lounge. One player will make it straight through to Saturday night. You can be here as well. Check out dartshop.tv to apply for tickets. They are free of charge as well. Paul Nicholson's going to go down and join Henry Deacon in commentary for the first match of the day. Charlie Corsafin is the referee today, and it is Kevin Painter against the table-topping Conor Heneghan.
Morning, Chris. Morning, everyone. Wednesday is the day where one man will receive the first invite to Saturday night's Darty Party in Pompey. At the minute, the envelope bears Conor Heneghan's name, but it is far from sealed, with Hamilton and Smith-Neale making runs for the line. We're going to see the man who tops the table going into the final day's action up against the artist in Kevin Painter, the 55-year-old from rugby, the former Players' Championship Finals winner is the artist, and Heneghan in his common gold top, which we usually see him in this competition. 23 years of age from
first leg. It's Kevin
Ireland.
To throw first.
He is
game on.
The man they are all eyeing up on this final day of action in Group A. And it is Painter that kicks us off for the day. In perfect style.
180.
And a perfect time for Paul Nicholson to come and join me in the commentary booth.
Yes, thanks, Henry. Good morning, everybody, once again.
93.
Wednesday will not be lacking fireworks, but one immediate change that Kevin has made. I think I mentioned this yesterday, Henry, that he's gone to the smoother
100.
version of his 18-gram dart. He's also using a different stem. Now, I made a lot yesterday about the stem he was using on Tuesday with the metallic top. But he's gone to a poly stem today, which may be a little bit longer. But he's staying with the black pear-shaped flight. Might be just looking for a bit of extra stability in the air with that longer stem. But if you look at what he did on Tuesday, running average of 83.52.
Kevin, you require 161.
Which was the second worst, funnily enough. He had 4 180s, but I think his checkouts really stand out. No ton plus outs, but less than 30% on the doubles.
65.
And that's where his game was lacking yesterday. Just looking to put that right, potentially for playing over the next couple of days.
And of course, for Painter, he'll be playing for which group he will be in come tomorrow
Kevin,
on 8 points
96.
over 90s. 4 behind Smith-Neale, who occupies Thursday. Need a push today and hope that there's slip-ups from Smith-Neale to do so in this opening leg. Well, he was going
56.
double 18 there for
Connor, you
double
require
top with
85.
double. And for Conor Heneghan, this could be an opening leg breaker throw to kick things off. Double 10
Game
to do
shot
it
on the
inside
first leg.
15. Really
Conor
solid leg there
Heneghan.
from Conor Heneghan. Did the right things at the right time, stuck with Painter. And then when he was afforded the opportunity, he took it. And Heneghan, the man at the top
Second
of the
leg,
table,
it's Conor
gets
to
the day
throw
off.
first.
To a perfect start from his perspective.
If Conor was to go on and win this match, which I'm sure the bookies have him as a favourite, because he's top of the table, you may see a more relaxed Kevin
100.
because he's out of contention of taking the top spot, but he's under massive amounts of pressure from Smith-Neale to try and get that top 3, because
57.
Kevin would admit that he wants to be in Group B as opposed to Group C. All players will admit that. Well, let's look at Conor from yesterday. You don't need me to tell you that he won all his games that he had. But we talked about this morning, Henry. The consistency levels of Conor Heneghan over the last couple of days, quite alarming, actually.
58.
Without being spectacular. There was 0.06 between his overall average on Monday to what he did yesterday.
89.
And as far as his best average of the day on Monday to Tuesday, there was a difference of 0.17. Those statistics tell you a very encouraging story.
70.
But again, without being spectacular, he raised his doubles percentage yesterday by 5%. That's quite a lot.
And that is the reason why he won 5 from 5 yesterday.
52.
Could be on his way to potentially winning the first of the day. Kevin Payne on 160, but if he can make a huge dent on this 220, then you would make him favourite for the leg. But it's
Kevin,
only
you
a 60, and
require
now Painter
160.
has been presented potentially with an opportunity to obtain the break back at the first juncture. He might do it in quite some style. Tops.
Game shot on the
Brilliant from
second
Kevin
leg.
Painter.
Kevin Painter.
And gets us back level in style. The artist with a proper dartist finish. The joint best of the week so far. That's some
Third
way
leg,
to
it's Kevin
kick us
throw
off.
first. Game on.
Less than 5 minutes ago, I said to Chris Murphy, our presenter, that the 160 from Smith-Neale yesterday wouldn't be
91.
the biggest of the week. Little did I know that someone was going to equal it in the second leg of the day. Fair play, Kev. Biggest finish of your week.
58.
And he's added to his 158, and he's had a 136 as well. So in that department, he's been shining.
And they've been at crucial
60.
times as well. I remember in that game on Monday, the 116 was to get him level at 2 apiece, and the 136 was to take it all the way to the decider. It's not just the fact that he's taken out the big finishes, it's the
90.
timing of the big finishes as well.
They're the ones that really stick out in your memory when you find that difficult out when your opponent's on something really
100.
small. Phil Taylor once said to me, "Why do people keep taking out 170s against me? Well, I did one. Mark Webster did one, and others did it against him because he kept rejecting bullseyes and giving us shots. So there you go. That's why we took them out.
100.
This is decent from Painter so far.
$58. Kevin, you require 150.
No. We said he was shining. He's positively glittering.
Kevin Painter.
What a performance on the ton plus outs. He's having a Bob Anderson-esque type game. This is incredible.
Oh, he needs the
Fourth
finger
leg,
point
it's Conor
now.
to throw first.
Well, he's got a decent bingo card going here. He's got a 160, a 150. Just need a 140 and a 170 to get this game done, Kev. Simple as that.
The perfect game.
He's getting into Graham Usher territory here.
140.
He's trying to win 4 legs with 4 ton plus outs, but in order to beat Graham's effort in that arguably the best Super Series match in history,
85.
he'd have to stick in a 9 darter there as well. And a big 167 or something like that, because that's exactly what Graham did.
What people forget about that
100.
game was Graham was 2-0 down, and before he won the first leg, he was struggling a little bit. I had the pleasure of being on comms for that, and you felt
100.
before he got that first ton out, Dan Mee was going to run away with the game.
If you haven't seen it, find it on YouTube. You won't be disappointed.
85.
And I suppose we have to address this issue, Henry, because as much as Conor wants to get this win to take himself to 18 points and 4 points in front of Andy Hamilton, his closest chaser, but everybody else in the practice room wants Kevin to win this game, and if he
91.
can, by a bit of a distance, that would be like Christmas for Hamilton and for Smith-Neale. And guess who's playing each other next? You guessed it. Smith-Neale against
55.
Hamilton. That's why
Conor,
I
you
said
require
with Chris earlier,
167.
this first round of matches is crucial.
It's like knockout darts right from the very get-go for Hamilton and Smith-Neale. We'll talk about that, obviously,
59.
when we get there.
Kevin, you
Kevin
require
Painter here is looking
121.
for a third consecutive ton plus out. The 1-2-1 should have been easy compared to the previous efforts.
77.
Still done a
Conor,
pretty
you
good job
require
there.
108.
Is it Conor's turn to dip his bread? Double 16.
76. Kevin,
This
you
could be
require
catastrophic
44.
for Heneghan. The one thing he has got that nobody else has got is that mammoth lead in the leg difference. But it could be crunched a bit if Painter gets 2 more legs without response. This is for the 3rd leg he needs. Great guide.
12.
Oh, and he found the left side of
Conor, you
that barrel.
require 32.
And it's presented Heneghan with an opportunity.
Game shot
And
on the
he's
fourth
taken the
leg.
opportunity.
Conor Heneghan.
And you just got the sense that Kevin Painter was beginning to run away with the game a little bit. And Conor Heneghan, had, again, similar to the first leg,
Fifth leg
just
is
stuck
Kevin
in
to
there,
throw first.
waited for the moment to come, and when presented with the opportunity, has taken it. But Kevin is not in the mood to pass up any more chances by.
180.
People often ask me, Henry, why do sports people need psychologists? Predominantly for legs like the last one, where you think Kevin's taking the 3-1 lead.
180.
And Kevin has sought sports psychologists in the past. He has shown at the start of this leg
Kevin,
just
you
why
require 141.
a very strong mentality can help you. He's on the 9. He's not anymore. That was a tremendous effort
89.
for him to try and get the first 9 darter in this arena. And lovely respect, not for the first time in this game, shown by his young opponent.
You're talking about that Graham Usher game?
60.
I was
Kevin, you
indeed, but
require
look at the
52.
disappointment on Painter's face when he went to the back of the stage. Disappointment?
Game
no
shot
longer
on the
exists.
fifth leg. Kevin Painter.
Extraordinary leg, his best of the week, and in fact the only person up to that point to have found an 11 darter was Conor Heneghan.
Sixth
So
leg, it's
Kevin's
Conor to
joined him
throw
in that
first.
statistic. 3-2 Painter.
You sense Painter had to get off to a good start to the day. That's exactly what he has
85.
done. Just needs one more leg from here to claim the opening victory. And you can just sense a bit of hush, a bit of quiet
100.
in the practice room. They are intently watching every single dart because this affects every single player, whether you're fighting for top honours or whether you're
45.
looking at a potential berth in third place.
Best average of the week. And I feel like I'm just going to curse Kevin by saying this. 97.5. He's currently beating that. He hasn't had a ton topping average so far this week yet. But you just know that Heneghan will not relent. He will give everything he's got to try and get these 2 points, because he knows he's going to be involved in a scrap if he loses this one. But Painter has been so impressive on Wednesday morning.
Indeed he has. Well, we've only had 1 ton plus average so far this week. That actually came in the first game of the week. Adam Smith-Neale with an average of 101.
95. Kevin, you require 121.
Kevin Painter here is on the cusp of victory with an average above the ton. That's going to dent those chances.
41. Conor, you require 136.
Doesn't have to go 60s here. There are other options, but this is the most popular. Oh, that was close. That just shook his previous dart and cascaded into the treble
125.
5. Match point Painter.
Kevin, you require 80.
Can he finish the job? Climb the ladder, Kev.
40.
You just don't
Conor,
know
you require 11.
if that's the only chance he's going to get.
Because these gains can swing so quickly. And what a guide that is.
3.
You thought he couldn't miss, but he did.
Kevin, you
and
require
Painter will get that
40.
second opportunity at tops.
Double 10.
Game,
Match over.
shots, and
And
the
a
match.
very impressive
Kevin
display
Painter.
from the artist. Great respect between those two. Conor realising that Painter turned up in the first game of the day. 96.73 the average. The high check out of 160, but do not forget that he had 150 in there either side of that one as well. 50% overall. Heneghan wasn't poor, but ultimately he just wasn't as good as his opponent. It's Adam Smith-Neale against Hamilton after this.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series here at the MODUS Live Lounge, where the start today has made it even more competitive and exciting. Conor Heneghan could have knocked Kevin Painter out of contention for that top spot, but a brilliant performance by Painter got the better of the league leader. The best performance that we've seen from Kevin Painter so far this week, an average of more than 96. He had a couple of huge checkouts in there as well, didn't he? 150 and 160, and almost produced a perfect leg. Missed the 8th dart at the treble. That was at the treble 19. For a potential 9-dart finish. Went out in 11 in the end, matching the best leg of the week. That was from Conor Heneghan. So that really is a statement from Kevin Painter saying, don't write me off, don't rule me out, because he is still fighting and scrapping. And not only has he done himself a favour, he's probably done a favour to the players that will be on the stage next as Andy Hamilton and Adam Smith-Neale prepare for their first match of the day. In the league table, Heneghan remains just a couple of points ahead of Andy Hamilton, who can level with him if he wins this game. If Adam Smith-Neale wins it, then he is level with Hamilton, and it's looking really exciting for the rest of the day. It looks like it is going to go down to the wire today to see who gets that Group A place and who goes into Group B and has that advantage as well. But Andy Hamilton had an excellent day yesterday, 4 out of 5. Adam Smith-Neale, the former world master, has been consistent all week as well. So let's get the match underway. Charlie Corsford, the referee for this one and all the games all day, and Paul Nicholson and Henry Deacon are waiting to talk you through it.
Thank you very much, Chris. And you just get the sense that the second game of our day here on Wednesday feels almost like a knockout match. The winner of this one will have a chance to fight Conor Heneghan for top spot. The loser, you think, realistically might be out of it as Andy Hamilton takes on Adam Smith-Neale. And you just get the sense for Adam, Paul, that it's a double-edged sword match. If he wins, he's fighting for top spot. But if he loses, when you look at the league table, Kevin Painter is very much breathing down his neck.
Yeah, very much so. He's looking in two directions, isn't he? I think the way that Adam thinks about his game and his life, for that matter, he's only looking in one direction. First and foremost, he's looking forward to try and catch
First
the two above
gets
him.
Adam to throw first.
But
Game
we can't
on.
ignore the fact that if he does lose to the hammer, and consequently losing to him for the 3rd consecutive day, he will be looking behind him because Kevin Painter is going to be tapping him on the shoulder for 3rd spot. He does not want to go into his next match of the day against Heneghan 4 points behind 2 players.
Absolutely, it gives you a lot of work to do. But the only advantage would be in that scenario, he is playing Heneghan. But you don't really want to be relying on snookers on Wednesday.
We talked about this at the end of yesterday's session.
93.
When Adam was playing his final match against Steve Brown, and it was a good performance from Smith-Neale, averaging 94.4 with a couple of maximums in there. And a really good 120 finish as well. You just thought if he could just stay in touch.
30.
And he did that by remaining 2 points behind Hamilton. The big advantage for him is that his first 2 games were against the people he's chasing.
81.
So he could get points and deny them points at the same time. That's why I said this morning that we can't count him out, because if he has a hot start like Monday where he won his first 2 matches, anything is possible today and we could have a really wicked Wednesday.
Well, ahead of play, Smith-Neale was 15-2 with the bookmakers to go on and win Group A. Hamilton 9-2. You sense the smart money was to stay away from Heneghan. Not that he's in a position, but 1-4 is such heavy odds in this group format. And with Heneghan dropping points in his opener, if Smith-Neale wins this, he can go level on points with the Irishman if he was to get victory in both of his opening games of the day.
120.
Just to illustrate that you can have a little bit of a punt on some of these results and the group winner, but if you do so, remember it's for over 18s only. Please gamble responsibly, and
43.
It's begambleaware.org for more
and you
information.
require 122.
Smith-Neale poised on 101, but Hamilton looking for the break, needs 3 18s for Bull. Doesn't get them, so Smith-Neale has got options here. I know the more creative players, Henry, do like to go Bull first here.
101.
Because a 25 leaves a double-double out. But this is traditional. Double 16.
69.
Just had a little bit of a stutter with his rhythm there,
And
didn't
do
he?
you require
Wasn't 100%
82?
comfortable. It almost paid off. But Hamilton might be looking at double 16 himself if he finds the ball.
Would be for an opening leg break. And importantly for both of these players, it's not just about winning. You sense winning big as well with the deficit that they have in the legs difference department. As Hamilton eyes up the bullseye and
57.
wasn't too far away.
Adam, you require
So Smith-Neale
32.
will return for this double 16.
Game
And
shot
will
on the
pin the
first
double
leg.
16
Adam Smith-Neale.
and claim the opening leg with the darts, despite facing a dart against him at the bullseye from Hamilton for the break of throw. But it turns out academic in the end.
Second leg, it's
as
Andy
Adam
to throw
Smith-Neale
first. Game
opens
on.
up the game, gets a 1-0 lead.
You've got two players here who subscribe to very different looks when it comes to being a dart player. When you play football or rugby or cricket, you have to wear a
136.
designed uniform, don't you? But this is an individual sport, and it's all about how you feel comfortable playing darts. It's very well publicised that most players
60.
these days at the top level like to get their own shirts designed. You can see that Hamilton has subscribed to that for many years. He's had some tremendous shirts, and I don't think you'll mind me saying this, he's had some shockers as well. Particularly that mustard yellow one, which was embedded in my brain.
180.
But Adam doesn't like to do that. He likes to just wear a comfortable polo shirt. He feels more comfortable this way, and I applaud that.
81.
Be yourself. Most important thing in darts.
Well, one thing Andy's done so far this week, which has surprised me, is that he's hit 17 180s. He's not noted as a big 180 hitter.
63.
Conor Heneghan started the day on 17. Now Andy's on 17, and if you'd had some money on him being the biggest
41.
180 hitter of the week,
And do you
I would
require
have thought that was a silly
122?
punt, but this week he's proving that maybe he's finding that proximity to the 60 a little easier than previous times.
It's usually because of the bulky barrel, which is why he'll get more 140s than 180s.
98.
But if you can stand the first start up right at the top of the bed, you can actually go the other way and actually give him more room, make the bed
51.
look bigger.
And do you
We'll be
require
hoping that there's only going to
24?
be one in the bed, and that's going to be in the double 12 for a 13 darter to level us up.
Game shot
And
on the
that's
second
exactly
leg.
what he does.
Andy Hamilton.
He's listened to our advice, he's taken our advice, and he gets us level at one apiece. But as I mentioned a couple of seconds ago, it's not just
Third
about the
leg, it's
victory
Adam to
here,
throw
it's about
third.
winning big. And both of those players will have that in the back of their mind. One will want to make a charge
96.
very, very quickly.
I think if you start thinking about the win and the margin, that's where you can get a bit lost. You just have to try and win every leg that you can possibly get. And here he goes again. He's finding it again.
180.
Watch out for that for the rest of the week, because I get a sneaky feeling that Hamilton's going to be around a while. But we have to address the leg difference
100.
as commentators, because Heneghan, even with that loss to Painter, is on plus 16. Hamilton, before this match began, plus 8. Smith-Neale plus 5. Whereas Kevin went 7
81.
perfect darts in the first match, and he could only muster 4.
And the way the first dart sat up, you thought that it was going to invite
94.
a couple more friends alongside it, but not to be on this occasion. But still handily enough poised in this third leg. Although he wouldn't have liked that flyer. Nor that one.
80.
But he's recovered it well with the last dart. But Smith-Neale, you sense, will probably get 6 of me, unless Hamilton can do what Smith-Neale did yesterday.
You can see what Adam was trying to do.
98.
3 treble 19s would have left
And do you
tops.
require 160?
Does get himself into a finishing range, which is very manageable, only needing 1 treble, but Andy needs 2. He can't replicate what Painter did in match 1.
36.
But that has not worked out.
Adam, you require 130.
Smith-Neale will love that visit for Hamilton. Double top.
73.
Bit of a safe one there.
And he required 124.
And in normal circumstances on a stage, if Hamilton was to hit this, he'd give us that roar. But he might not do it here. And he's not going to, because he can't finish 109 with 2 dots. He's starting to lose the line a bit.
34. Adam, you require 40.
Paraphrase Sam Fender. Initially, Adam Smith-Neale was
James
far
Sean
too
the
scared to
third
hit
lane.
it, but he'll
Adam
hit it in a
Smith-Neale.
heartbeat now. And he leads 2-1 against Andy Hamilton.
We needed you at quiz night last night, Henry. Not that I'm bragging.
Fourth leg,
But
it's
we did
Andy to
win.
throw first. Game on.
Apparently I'm banned now. We played on Sunday, we came second, although I heard
Oh,
it's lights out round 2 tonight, or round 3 tonight.
yeah. Oh, Captain Kirk Bevins, no. He doesn't like second place.
180.
Although we did get a darts question last night, and if I got that wrong, I needed sacking. Because it was about
100.
which Bridgend-based darts company create the best dartboards in the world. And, of course, it's Winmo, because we use the Blade 6 triple core carbon here at the MODUS Super Series. It's the best dartboard you can buy.
Proudly representing as well
39.
on his jacket.
Oh,
68.
that one was a bit lobby. Just a bit soft through the air. Just needs to penetrate with that follow through a little bit more. That was a bit more feathered than the usual smooth action that we're expecting from ASN. But he's left himself on the Graham Gooch.
134.
333. Definitely showing my age now. He scored that against India in
44.
1990.
And he required
One of the best innings
148.
in English cricket history.
I'm not going to tell you that was 10 years before I was born.
I'm not going to listen to you.
100.
That's a good tone from Hamilton. That just makes the next visit a little bit easier. It doesn't really matter what Smith-Neale does now. It's all about Hamilton having
81.
single to double combo,
And he required
and he can pick his
48.
route.
8 or 16. 16 for double. He went straight for the middle of the 2 to guarantee something. Well, he's got to move across there. The size of the bell just obscures the
16.
dart a little bit, and it crashes it into the other side. He is going to return with Smith-Neale back on 208. This is to level us up again at 2
60.
apiece.
And he required 32.
Conor Heneghan won't mind the fact that these two are sweating it out, because it doesn't make a huge indent on the legs difference.
Game shot the
Andy
fourth
Hamilton will
leg.
be more than
Andy
happy with that.
Hamilton.
One thing Heneghan does want is a repeat of what's happened over the last couple of days, because the result
Fifth
has
leg, it's
been
Adam to
Hamilton
throw
4.
first.
Adam Smith-Neale 3. He wants that result. As to which way he wants it to
96.
go, you're probably thinking he wants Smith-Neale to edge it, just to keep that 2-point buffer. But both games that they've had this week have been really, really good. Hamilton with a 97.06 average in the 4-3 win
58.
on Monday, with Smith-Neale averaging nearly 96. But then you look at their game yesterday, it was an 85
59.
average in the win for Hamilton, but the way he was able to scrape through, and that 116 finish that we showed at the start of the show with Chris Murphy, that really was a huge shot with Adam on 60 for the match.
Most definitely. And for Conor as well. He knows he has the opportunity when he
131.
plays Smith-Neale, he can effectively knock him out of contention.
That's where these players are more comfortable,
60.
in my opinion. Stick them in a situation where they can knock their opponent out and take them out of the equation. That is where they say, right, it's up to me. Nobody else is involved. It's just a bog standard knockout match. That's what these guys play most of the time.
60.
How much does Andy's experience of Premier Leagues and Grand Slams come into play here? Because he would have played round robin, group stage format more than possibly anyone else in the field apart from maybe
100.
Kev.
I think that's a very fair point, actually. Maybe over a somewhat truncated format. Premier League's over 16 weeks, whereas they're playing Group A, which is over 3 days. But I suppose intrinsically there is a little bit of a similarity between the two situations. So
45.
you have to show a little bit of patience at the start and then a clinical nature towards the end. And I'm sure he's got that because he has made the playoffs in the Premier League and he's made the final of the Grand Slam. So who are we to scoff?
56.
He likes the round robin format. He will not like the look of this leg unless he can perhaps get 2 trebles of this visit. Had to go downstairs. That was quite possibly the horror first start. Probably a horror second dart as well.
Adam, you
Couldn't find the
require
lie of any of those
130.
3. And so Smith-Neale's going to return for 130. Yet another hold and for 3-2.
35. And do you require
Andy's
150?
biggest finish of the week so far is 119. Went 19s first. Very popular route these days, trying to get the 2 trebles for double 18.
95. Adam, you require 95.
This leg is far from done. But we've seen a lot of attention in the 19s department this week. Adam Smith-Neale gets
24.
nowhere near a shot at double 19.
And do you require
He would admit
55?
that that's a really poor visit. And Hamilton's getting a free chance here for a 3-2 lead against the throw.
He may have just handed the initiative right over here. And Hamilton says, thank you very much.
Andy Hamilton.
And now he has the throw to provide a hammer blow to Adam Smith-Neale's chances of progressing through Group A. It could be a leg away from effective
leg. It's Andy
elimination
to
from
throw
those stakes.
first.
And then
Game
his
on.
battle for Wednesday would be with Kevin Painter as to who would finish 3rd in the group, thus creating a berth into Group B.
Adam's plan B, if he was to lose
100.
this match, or this fixture again for the 3rd straight day, would be that playing Heneghan next will peg him back if he can win.
58.
But he can do nothing about the fact that Hamilton plays Moreno Blom in Game 6. His chance of pegging Hamilton back may have slipped him by. I've said that you need patience to play in Group A over 3 days.
100.
But on Wednesday, you just got to get the job done. These fixtures are enormous.
137.
Essentially 4-pointers, aren't they, Henry?
Most definitely. It's like the back 9 in Augusta, where you build up for the tournament all week. Conor Heneghan would have come out the leader overnight, and he knows what he's got to do. But when it gets
100.
towards those final stages, everything changes. It just gets tense. It gets twitchy. To paraphrase Sir Alex Ferguson, it becomes squeaky bum time.
59.
Some people are comfortable being the clubhouse leader overnight, like Heneghan has been. But then there are others who are not comfortable that way. Look at what happened to Rory McIlroy back in 2011 at Augusta. He capitulated down the stretch and round the
100.
amen corner, and Charles Schwartzel, who was not spoken about overnight, went and took the title. But Scotty Scheffler earlier this year had the lead overnight, and he breezed to victory.
30.
So
And do
you
you
have to
require 101.
believe in yourself to get over the line. And it looks like Andy Hamilton has got plenty of opportunities to get this done for his most comfortable victory over Adam Smith-Neale this week, to draw level with Heneghan.
Game,
And that's
shot,
exactly what he does.
And the match.
With a 4-2
Andy
victory,
Hamilton.
he's now on 16 points. Smith-Neale will stay on 12, 4 adrift. And we could have just seen the biggest finish of this table so far. The stats from this one were really impressive for Hamilton. 101, the highest check out of the match. But you have to say it, Smith-Neale not out of the blocks this morning. He's going to need to find more than that if he's to retain his top 3 spot, which is now under threat. We've got Moreno Blom and Steve Brown from the other side of the table coming up after this.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where we've just seen Andy Hamilton win his first match 4-2. A really good display against Adam Smith-Neale, and that 101 checkout to win it. That followed on Kevin Painter's victory by the same scoreline against the overnight league leader Conor Heneghan. There we see Andy Hamilton's 50% checkout success rate, helping him to that win against Smith-Neale, who was immediately below him in the league, and an average of 16 points higher than the former world master. Really strong start for the Hammer. And that means, of course, that he now goes level at the top of the table with Heneghan, because Heneghan lost that match to Kevin Painter. He had 150 checkout, 160 checkout, and went 7 darts into a perfect leg. As you can see, all to play for now. Same games played, same points for Hamilton and Heneghan. Smith-Neale's dropped behind, and his third place is under threat now as he bids to make it through to Group B, with Kevin Painter hot on his heels, hoping to join them. Steve Brown, who's about to take on bottom place Moreno Blom, who still has the highest checkout success rate in this group, quite remarkably. Brown against Blom, then the third match of the morning. Back to Paul and Henry to guide you through the action.
Thank you very much, Chris. A big game you sense right at the start of the day for Steve Brown. 2 really crucial games at the start of the day for Steve Brown. If he can win this, he'll go level on points with Kevin Painter, and it's Painter who he plays in his second game of the day. And for Moreno Blom, after a tricky day yesterday, we just hope that we see more of the type of player that we saw in patches on day one.
I'm really interested about what we're going to see from Moreno Blom today, because I'm essentially opening up a dictionary and I'm trying to find a word to describe him over the last couple of days. I'm not really even sure it exists yet, but he has a very high level of performance.
97.
But we haven't seen it consistently yet. Now, it's a bit of a cliche for me to sit here and say that everybody searches for consistency.
140.
But when you know you can play to a certain level in patches, it's about finding it more regularly.
97.
And that's exactly what Moreno's been missing. He hasn't won a match in 9 games. He won his first match on Monday, and we thought, what have we found here? 100% on doubles in his first match as well.
45.
But since then, I don't mean this in a nasty way, it's been a bit flaky.
96.
You don't play here at the Super Series unless you've done something. He was runner-up at the Slovakian Open in February, lost out to Neil Duff, the WDF world champion,
100.
in that final. So there's obviously something there, because to play in this event, you have to achieve something
79.
on the amateur circuit. But he's still searching for something, and I just wonder whether come the end of today it's going to be a clean slate. He's going to be in Group C tomorrow, that maybe the reset button and the fact that it's going to go back to 0 for every single player might just help him out a little
Moreno,
bit.
you require
I was talking to Matthew
132.
Edgar about that a few weeks ago when he was playing. He had a disastrous start to Group A, and ultimately he went into Group C
Steve,
on the Thursday and
91.
Friday, and he was transformed come Thursday morning. 74 is not going to be found in 2.
51. Moreno, you require
So Blom's
79.
got 79. Double top.
39.
As Murph mentioned,
Steve,
his
you
doubles
require
percentage
40.
over the first couple of days has been the most impressive at 46.88%. Just hasn't got there enough.
Game shot on the first
But if there's been one
Steve
double,
Brown.
one double on this board that has been more crucial and found more than any other by Steve Brown in his first 10
Second
matches of
leg,
the
it's
week,
Steve to
it has
throw
been
first.
double 10.
In this position, though, he'll need to find
44.
more friends on the doubles bed. As I say, his main competition today will be with Painter and Smith-Neale to try and seal third. And the advantage of that is a place in Group B. That means they'll be playing tomorrow night, and it's 3 players from 5 who qualify for Saturday night's final, whereas in Group C
41.
it's 2 from 6. And of course, you can join us on Saturday night for the final. Tickets are available online. They're free of charge as well
80.
for the Darty Party in Portsmouth. Head over to dartshop.tv for more information, where you can get tickets all the way through to the end of week 12.
Whoever said you get nothing for free these days? You can get darts tickets for free. Don't pass them up.
100.
Well, talking about the next couple of nights, where we will have that 5-person group.
136.
It will be the second and third place players from this group who will be joined by Conan Whitehead, who, funny enough, will be donning a shirt, which is not that dissimilar to Moreno's today. He likes a bit of black and white.
180.
colour combination as well.
Moreno require
Johnny Haynes and Ryan
145.
Finesse will be here for that as well. You just wonder who's going to join them.
57. Steve, you require 136.
Be watching that intently. Steve Brown could do his case a whole lot of good with the 136. So it's not going to go this time, but he felt that first dart would have been a nice marker to plonk a treble in just underneath.
60.
So Moreno blown back for 88.
Moreno, you require 88.
And as we've mentioned throughout the course of the week so far, his finishing has been superb. And he's only going to get one
Game
poke at the
shot on the second
bullseye.
leg.
I suppose
Moreno
it was
Blom.
quite obvious he was going to get the bullseye based on his form this week. And he gets us back level at 1 apiece in this game, right at the top of the button.
Third
And
leg,
it was
it's
a break
Moreno to
back as
throw
well.
first.
I definitely like the phraseology of plonking a treble, Henry. I'm definitely going to inherit that
140.
one. That sounds very Sid Waddell-like. Anything to do with the great commentator from Northumberland has got my vote. Steve was very fortunate enough to play darts at
85.
World Championships and World Match Plays when Sid was still around. I know that the players who had that gift
60.
know that they were very fortunate to have so, with the likes of Dave Lanning and the great John Gwynn, who unfortunately we lost this year. We also lost our great friend Nigel Pearson as well. It's been a sad year for darts and our commentary colleagues, but they will be forever remembered,
57.
that's for sure.
Giving us so many special moments and special lines which stick in your mind forever and a day. What a lovely memory to be thought of by.
43.
Well, Blom is in the infancy of his career. You just wonder where
83.
he's going to be playing darts over the next 18 months. He will have options of things like PDC qualifying school. He might even make the WDF World Championship. But there are more options
139.
ever
Moreno, you
before
require
for the
161.
amateur player. 161. Not going to get another look at the bullseye, but Brown will
55.
fancy his chances of getting a look at tops or
Steve, you
tens here.
require 100.
For the third consecutive break in the match. 2 darts at tops. What a lovely first dart.
80.
But it just goes a smidgen
Moreno, you
underneath for the
require
second.
106.
And in Moreno Blom, anything can happen in the finishing department. But it won't go this
74.
time, so Brown will be back for
Steve,
the
you
double 10
require
for the
20.
break.
Double 10. Missed this time.
Game
Double
shot on the
5.
third leg.
Right in the meat and
Steve
potatoes
Brown.
part of it, right in the middle. 2-1, it is to Bomber. He's already beaten Moreno twice this week. Looking for the three-peat, which is exactly what Andy
Fourth
Hamilton
leg,
got
it's
against
Steve
Adam
to throw
Smith-Neale in Game
first.
2.
Game on.
Come on, Henry, I'm going to put you on the spot here. And yesterday it was Murph's turn to put us on the spot about World Masters, who had played
60.
in Super Series darts in the last couple of years. Who's your favourite left-hander?
80.
What a question.
I'm going to put that out to everybody, actually. Why don't you get in touch with us? At MSS Darts, myself, at the Asset 180. Henry Deacon is.
135.
At H_Deacon Media.
There you go.
Bit of a mouthful.
Get in touch with us and let us know who's your favourite left-hander
100.
in darts of all time. Doesn't have to be James Wade. It can be one of the more classic players from yesteryear. There's quite a few of them.
70.
In the next leg, we'll tell you ours. We'll let it stew a bit. Because of all of the left-handers I've ever seen, this is one of the best left-hand techniques I've ever seen. It's really uncomplicated. And when he gets it right, he makes it look easy.
Most definitely. And I had a conversation about this a few weeks ago
44.
about the left-handed
Moreno, you
action
require
in front of the cameras, because
141.
it's the other way round. So sometimes an action that is actually quite good looks complicated because it's on the different side. It's the wrong side to how we usually see it. So,
not to mention the fact that
79.
the camera that you will see right now that's pointing at this player, not this one, but the one that you usually see,
100.
that's in the vision
Moreno, you
of the
require
player
62.
when they're looking at the board. It's to the left of them, whereas the left-handers are looking the other side, so they're not distracted as much by it.
52.
Most left-handers love double 10, but
Steve,
on this
you
occasion,
require
Moreno does not.
92.
so this is for a 3-1 lead for Steve Brown, and to put him one away from the victory post in his opening match of the day. 72 left. It's going to go double 18 to leave another.
Game
Oh,
shot,
that's
fourth
superb
leg.
from Steve Brown. The double-double combination. And they couldn't have been prized any closer apart.
Fifth leg, it's Moreno.
He's a
to
leg
throw
away
first.
from victory, and to inflict a 10th straight defeat on Moreno Blom.
I was having a little chin wag with Steve this morning. He's one of my favourite people just to bump into and have a natter with, because we've had our little ding-dongs over the years. But
100.
nice shared stories. But I was asking him how he felt over the last couple of days, and he said he felt that
96.
Monday he was all right. Yesterday he struggled a little bit, but I can tell when he's got that little bit of confidence back, because shots like that 92, they make you feel good.
97.
Come on then, best left-hander. Who's your favourite? On the spot, give me an answer.
Martin Phillips on the go.
135.
Nice, quick, slick action.
Stupendous answer. That means I can't pick Martin now. I've got one of two, actually.
60. Moreno, you require
It could be either Sean
170.
Palfrey of Wales or Alan Glazier from back in the 80s, the man they called Ton Machine. He was a dude.
$140.
You can tell he's thinking about it, because this is the quietest I've seen the asset all week. And if that 128 went, that would have kept Brown quiet. But
62.
Steve Brown can silence Moreno Blom
Steve,
if he can
require
take out this
104
104 for the match.
This is to end round one of the matches today with a bit of a wallop.
64.
Very good try.
Moreno, you require 66.
If Blom doesn't take this, he could well find himself
Game
rooted
shot on
to the
fifth
bottom of the
leg.
table
Moreno
for the rest
Blom.
of the day. But the man who's been in the anchor position on that ladder for the last couple of days finds a nice little check out there. Keep himself in with a shout,
Steve to
but
throw
still
first.
advantage Brown.
Game on.
2 legs won with finishes of 88 and 66. As we mentioned, when he gets towards the checkouts, he's lethal. The issue has been the scoring phase, and the most
95.
crucial statistic that we can see on the screen that we have the pleasure of seeing is the ton plus throws. Steve Brown is outscoring him in that
96.
department by 8-4. And that is what's affording him more opportunities at the double.
We've had a couple of really good answers on social media about left-handers.
140.
Jamie Rhodes has got in touch and said it's got to be Mark Webster. That's a nice answer. But I've had it. I don't mean to sound a bit like Jim White here, but I've had a text from Connor Scott, who said his favourite lefty is Raymond van Barneveld. And this is a really
96.
creative answer, because Connor knows, like a lot of us do, that Raymond throws righty, but writes lefty.
137.
He's technically a
Steve,
lefty.
you require 170.
This would be the right way to go. Oh, come on, Steve. Oh, could have been a 170 to finish the match. Would have been the biggest finish of the week. But not just yet.
Nice sign of respect as well
98.
between the pair.
Steve, you require 44.
So then to seal a 4-2 victory, to put himself level on points with Painter, to really keep him in the hunt for third place. And a spot in Group B, double 16, sealed victory for Steve Brown by 4 legs to 2, and it just looks like the Bomber's got his mojo again today. Let's have a look at the match stats, a 90.31 average, 1 maximum apiece, 4 from 10 on the doubles, but crucially, it was the fact that Brown outscored Moreno Blom, which is why he secured the 4-2 victory, because when Blom was getting towards the finishes, 2 from 5 and checkouts of 88 and 66. So victory for Steve Brown. That puts him now on to 10 points, level with Painter, 2 behind Smith-Neale. We're going to take a short break. When we return, we're going to see the return of Conor Heneghan, the group leader who lost his first game of the day against Adam Smith-Neale.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where all of the first 3 matches have finished in the same scoreline. 4-2 successors for Steve Brown, who we've just seen against Moreno Blom, Andy Hamilton and Kevin Painter. And some highlights in there from Steve Brown, particularly that double-double finish for the 92 checkout, hitting 2 double 18s excellently. Brilliant finish from Steve Brown there. Moreno Blom is really struggling now. 10 defeats on the spin for the young Dutchman since he won his very first match in the group against Andy Hamilton. That seems a long time ago on Monday morning, doesn't it? It's all been downhill since then for Blom, and I'll be hoping not to have a repeat of yesterday where he lost all 5 of his matches. The victory for Steve Brown means that the table is still all to play for, really, because Heneghan lost his first game, having been top of it overnight. And Andy Hamilton has gone level with him, but Heneghan now plays again against Adam Smith-Neale, who would have hoped to have been more in that race, but he can rectify his opening defeat by getting the better of Conor Heneghan here. However, it has been 4-1 to Conor in each of their previous 2 meetings this week. Will it be a repeat, or can Adam Smith-Neale raise his game from those matches and his match earlier today? Let's find out with Henry and Paul.
Yes, welcome back, and it's round number 2 of the matches for Wednesday. Interesting plot twist in round 1 with I was going to call him Heneghan again. Back to the drawing board, Nico. Heneghan staying on 16 points, but he's got company now in the shape of Andy Hamilton. Now, Adam Smith-Neale, who suffered that defeat to Hamilton in game 2, is now 4 points behind the top 2 players. In order to drag himself back into the race, he's not only got to find a win here to deny Heneghan his first win of the day, but
First
he's going to
leg,
have
it's
to find
Conor
some
to
legs,
throw
isn't he, Henry?
first.
Because
Game on.
he's a good 13 legs behind his opponent in the table.
You mentioned on Monday, win big, lose small. That's what Conor Heneghan
96.
has done this week. But Andy Hamilton will be praying for a 4-0 or 4-1 victory in the direction of Adam Smith-Neale in this game,
96.
who himself has his own battle. At the start of the day, he was hoping that he'll be at the top end of the table. Now he's really is locked in and embroiled in a battle for 3rd spot in the group, which gives him a space in Group B. He's on 12 points, but he's got Painter and Brown, who have both won their opening games of the day on 10 points. And so if he loses this one, he really is going to be looking precariously over his shoulder.
Especially a Painter who's got a better leg difference than Adam Smith-Neale. So his participation in Saturday is very much up for grabs in many different facets. He thought for a second that might have jagged the bottom left corner of the treble 19.
127.
But it's still a brilliant
Adam,
setup.
you require 140.
All he can do is hit a ton to leave tops now.
60.
Can't do
Conor,
that.
you require 28.
So Heneghan comes back to plant a 14 darter. 15 is fine.
The first
on
leg.
double 14.
Conor Heneghan.
Bit of a strong start there from Heno, as he's known. The fact of the matter is that in his first game, he did not play
Second
his
leg,
best
it's
stuff.
Adam throwing first.
I labelled him really consistent the first couple of days. So an 80 average. Maybe just
100.
an early morning game where he just didn't find his top stuff.
Certainly kicking off with a 15 there, which is as consistent as it gets.
85.
I keep looking at this shirt that Heno's wearing today, thinking it looks like a puzzle.
140.
And it looks so complicated, I can't solve it. Looks like one of those mazes that you walk into at those stately homes. And you can't find your way around with a sat-nav or a smartwatch. You've just got to walk around until you find the exit.
Talking about puzzles and jigsaws, Paul Hinks is going to be with us on Friday. He loves a good teaser and puzzle and things like that.
So we're saving the 127 and 124 finishes for 36. When he gets here.
Most definitely. I've had a text from James Richardson, who of course played last week. He texted, he said, "Morning, Henry, morning, everyone. I'm tuned in watching this morning to see if someone can do a trick shot 180. We remember his efforts last week. It was so acrobatic that they wanted it at the circus.
180.
Yeah, I still haven't figured that out. But as soon as we mention a 180, Conor gets one. How about a 120 out, though?
100.
Wasn't far away.
Conor, you require 60.
Heno will want this single to be high. That's a bit tricky.
$40.
Too tricky.
Adam, you require 20.
And we saw with the overhead shot there, he had to pick one side or the other, decided to go left side. And Adam Smith-Neale wants double 10 when he's edging closer, and he's edging it into the bend now.
Adam Smith-Neale
levels us up at one apiece. The first dart pretty much hit the numbering. The second one hit the wire. The third one found the bend.
It's Conor to
and that is why we are level at one apiece after Conor Heneghan missed 2 darts at tops to break and open 44. Up a 2-0 lead.
Conor has had the measure of ASN this week.
99.
And if you think about where Adam was in the table at the start of today, if you somewhat forensically look at his week, the reason he was in 3rd spot
60.
is because he lost twice to Hamilton and twice to Heneghan. Everything else has been fine. He's had good records against everybody else.
23.
But the 2 people above him, he hasn't beaten them. And he doesn't want that to continue. And if he doesn't beat Heneghan in this match, he's not going to get the top spot. It's that simple.
60.
The Arsenal complex of he's beating everybody below him, but those at the top end of the table he's just found wanting.
You are treading very, very
96.
cagey ground there, Henry. Do not tick off Arsenal supporters at the minute.
My dad's an Arsenal fan, so he's going to absolutely hate. I'm not going to be able to go home tonight. I'm not going to be able to go home tonight.
These commentary seats are quite comfortable if you want to sleep in them.
Find a pillow crowbar in the corner or something.
You'll find something. I know players who are so enthusiastic about playing MODUS Super Series that they would
70.
sleep here. In fact, I'm actually sharing accommodation this week with our referee, Charlie Costerfien. You wouldn't believe how much he practices.
99.
I'm going to bed at night and I can still hear thud, thud, thud on the wall. I think he's playing a pairs match this weekend. I think he's got quite a famous pairs partner, hasn't he? In Robert Owen.
80.
He won week 1 at this stage, so he's playing pairs with a Super Series legend this weekend. Smith-Neale's not going to do what Steve Brown did
56.
in the previous match
Conor,
by
you
taking
require
92 on 2 double 18s.
132.
But this is a Hollywood shot.
Still got a crack at the bullseye, courtesy of the treble 19.
107.
But he couldn't find the middle.
Adam, you require
So Smith-Neale will
36.
return for the double 18. Now, of course, for double 9. Should be a nice lie
18.
for him, but again, you couldn't have got that dart
Conor,
any
you
closer
require
without it hitting the
25.
bed.
He's had a love-hate relationship with double 9 over the last couple of days.
Game
And
shot
he
the
hates this
third
leg
leg.
because
Conor
Heneghan has
Heneghan.
taken it. It wasn't the best leg either. But it doesn't really matter because he's banked it in
Fourth leg,
23
it's Adam
darts.
to throw first.
Is this going to be one of those days where Heneghan has a somewhat
58.
arduous day but still gets enough points to get it done? You can sense that there will be a bit of a tense nature in his arm and maybe in his mindset, because he's
134.
got a much more seasoned professional on his heels now.
I think we said yesterday perhaps 22
58.
would be enough to secure the group. That would mean 3 wins from 5 for Heneghan would secure it.
60.
Can I change my mind?
Of course you can.
I think it's going to be 24. I've got a
60.
sneaky suspicion that either Hamilton or Heneghan are going to get the 24. It could well be the case that they both get the 22, and it could come down to leg
58.
difference, which right now is in Heneghan's favour. But that has changed a little bit. The advantage at one point was 10 legs.
100.
Now it's only 6. If that shrinks again in round 2 of our matches here, with this fixture and Hamilton against Blom,
46.
leg difference might not be as much of a factor.
Could all be equaling its way out. Smith-Neale is edging his
140.
way closer to equaling out this game, leaving 85 after 15. It's been at times a little bit attritional, but this is excellent for Conor Heneghan.
121.
Looking for the
As in you
171 to leave
require
32.
85.
Still gets a fair chunk of it. Bullseye.
Game shot on the
Beautifully
fourth
done by
leg.
Smith-Neale to
Adam
draw level at
Smith-Neale.
2-2. And if you need a bit of a shot in the arm in a game like this, bullseye checkouts are just the ticket.
Fifth leg, it's Conor to throw first.
I do like the new look slow-mo replays, so we get a really good look at the players' actions.
134.
Well, if it was a slow player, we'd be on that replay for a while. But these guys don't hang around.
Did some research
121.
on some slower players, I see.
I have just released an article, actually, in the last 24 hours about some players that a lot of people didn't like playing against.
54.
Mentioning the likes of Justin Pipe, Mensah Suljovic, and a guy called Davis Schneider from America who lives in infamy for the wrong
96.
reasons.
What would you have done if it was 2 minutes per visit?
Left. And
93.
via the tournament director's desk and a complaint, 2 minutes a throw. Can you imagine if he was here?
100.
We'll be here till 6 o'clock tonight.
No. We just don't like... We don't mind methodical players, but slow, no. And that's not what you get from young players these days. They all follow in the example of the Dutch generation, who all seem to be really quick. I mean, there's a lot made of MVG and Klaassen and Van der Voort, but there are a lot of other really fast players from the Netherlands in that era. Willy van der Wiel, Joey ten Berge, there's so many. And everybody's following that example now. Heneghan from the left-hand side of the hockey.
40.
Misses tops from that side once
Adam,
again.
you require 86.
Now, how many darts have we seen close to the wire that haven't gone in? Smith-Neale will be hoping the double 16 hits the bed and does so perfectly. If you're going to place a dart in that bed and you could pick any part of it, it would have been there. And that's a breaker throw. And that sees him on the hill against Heneghan. And Andy Hamilton next door will be watching this with some interest.
60.
I can almost sense Andy in the next room because he's not that far away from us. Putting his hands together, somewhat Monty Burns-like.
140.
Saying, excellent. But in a place like this, that it has been publicised that this was
96.
a church. I wonder which player would be Reverend Lovejoy. You better not get me started on Simpsons characters.
Oakley dokley.
I know who you are now then, Henry. You're the Ned Flanders of the crew.
34.
That is not a reputation I want to uphold.
I know, he's a pretty clean living guy. Looks good for 60.
85.
I bet you didn't know he was 60 years of age.
You trying to say I look old?
No, not at all. Not going down that rabbit hole.
42.
But Conor Heneghan has got to get out of a hole right now. He's very fortunate that Smith-Neale has left 169. And that's
133.
tremendous.
And Adam Smith-Neale has left himself on 169, so he's going to get a poke at it. But my word, is it going to be under some pressure? That is superb under these circumstances.
Yeah, but how many times when you've got 169 do you get the first two treble 20s? Bullseye checkout potentially now for Heno. And he finds what Smith-Neale found. Boy, is that a good checkout. Because if he misses that, he could well lose his second match out of 2 today.
And he wasn't afraid to let Smith-Neale know about the significance of it. He let out a bit of a roar there as that bullseye went in. He knew that Smith-Neale put him under pressure. It turned out to be a bit of a dead cat visit in the end.
85.
We are seeing the behaviour change on the stage when it comes down to the crucial points.
134.
And you know what? I don't mind that at all. I don't think the players will mind that either, because they're playing for big riches this week. If you win this week, you get £5,000 and the chance of 20 more in the middle of October. It's a long slog if you want to get that 20 bags of sand.
121.
Because you've not only got to win through a group in your week and then win on the Saturday night, you then have to go to Champions Week and get to the Saturday night and then win that Saturday night. It's a lot of work, but the riches are very, very good.
You merit the opportunity to become the Super Series champion. And
60.
What a title that's going to be on your CV in front of the crowd with the nice trophy in the middle of October.
Yeah, I like the switch here.
137.
At worst, he would have left 140. But it's a little bit easier now. And Smith-Neale
39
is in trouble.
Conor, you require 102.
Because Heneghan has 102 for the win. Well, it's still on. Now, that would have been one of the great darting recoveries if he got 34. The treble 17 and the subsequent bullseye.
147.
Well, 147 is usually accustomed to snooker. And that's where it's going to stay in this leg. No big break for Smith-Neale on this occasion to win the match.
Conor, you require 68.
That was a great recovery from Nuneaton's finest. 53 to nick a win, and he's missed the single.
28. Adam, you require 40.
Smith-Neale to break Heneghan's heart.
Game,
and he has done so.
And the match. Adam Smith-Neale.
2 games in, and Heno has got no points And we could be staring at a new leader at the end of round 2. 85.99, believe it or not, is a better performance from Heneghan, but it wasn't good enough to take out Smith-Neale, who gets himself back in it. He's now on 14 points, but crucially, Hamilton has a game in hand. He could go to 18 in match 6. But before we get there, we've got the housemates playing each other for the 3rd time this week. It's going to be Steve Brown up against Kevin Painter in match 5 after this.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where we've just seen Conor Heneghan, the league leader, lose his 2nd out of his 2 games on this Wednesday morning, making it very, very interesting in this group. Heneghan going down, as you can see there, to Adam Smith-Neale's 4-3. Smith-Neale winning for the 1st time today and keeping himself in contention to take that top spot off Conor Heneghan, who is now level with Andy Hamilton. But the Hammer has a game in hand that's coming up against Moreno Blom after this next game. The next game, as you can see behind me, Steve Brown and Kevin Painter getting ready to play each other. The pair of them staying together this week, but this match could be about more than who does the washing up, because one of them will still be in contention to top the table at the end of the day. Painter, brilliant first performance, a 4-2 win against Heneghan, a check out of 150, a check out of 160. He went 7 perfect darts in the leg as well, very emphatic. Brown also a 4-2 winner, that one against Moreno Blom. So the pair of them about to do battle for the 3rd time this week. It's 1 win apiece so far. Who will win the trilogy? We will find out now with Henry and Paul ready to talk you through it.
10:54 a.m. The 2 housemates go to battle in the MODUS Super Series as Kevin Painter takes on Steve Brown in our 5th darting duel of the day. And this is a crucial one in terms of who's going to fight Adam Smith-Neale in 3rd spot and a place in Group B if they slip up on Smith-Neale later on today.
I Things are getting a bit strange in this table. I went for Conor Heneghan earlier, and I think a lot of people would have agreed with me. But if this format doesn't surprise you, then I in turn will be surprised.
First
Hamilton
leg, it's
now is in
Steve
the
to throw
driving seat.
first.
He's taking on
Game
the
on.
bottom-placed Blom. After this, a win is likely, but nothing is guaranteed now. I'm pretty sure now Conor Heneghan and the chasing pack are Moreno Blom fans, because if he was to pick up a second victory against Hamilton this week, all of a sudden things are bunched up in many, many ways, and the final 3 rounds of matches will be extraordinarily exciting. But Brown and Painter have shared a win each this week. And like Chris just said, who's going to win the trilogy?
81.
Well, any good battle's got to have a trilogy. Any good fight has to have a trilogy. Any good film has a trilogy.
Oh, no, that's a rabbit hole you don't want to go down with me.
48.
There's not many times that a movie is superseded by the sequel. Anyway, let's move on.
33.
One of the good things about this fixture, though, is that it is 1-1 for the week. And they've both picked up a win this morning, so they're pretty much on an even keel coming into it. They have the same points as well. So you could say this is really for bragging rights to see who gets that second win,
100.
who gets to 12 points, who gets the second win of the day. They couldn't be more level.
Game shot on the first
We're not level in this game any longer because Steve Brown takes the opening leg of a nice, clean 95 finish. As good as it gets, and that double 19 has played a huge part in this Group A so far. For a double right at the bottom of the board, which doesn't see much action, well, it's making up for it and then some this week.
42.
I used to use it quite a bit in double start darts. It was my plan B double. I'd go double 16 first, and if I blocked it, I would go to double 19.
100.
That's a ploy that a lot of players have implemented in Grand Prix darts over the last few seasons. Kevin had one of his most famous victories at the World Grand Prix, and I hate to say this, 21 years ago
80.
Against Phil Taylor, when the dartboard had diamonds on the outside. If you haven't seen that dartboard before, that's a retro piece of kit, that one.
100.
Is that the same year Alan Warner won it?
Indeed. The year that Alan Warner Little set that average record of over 106 for a double start match. It's never been bettered.
It's not been close either, has it?
I got within 7 points of that once, and I thought that was one of my best performances in my career.
45.
Just illustrates just how well Alan Warner Little played in that match.
Won't be long till we see that tournament again in Leicester.
40.
Just a couple more weeks to go. Amsterdam first, though, for the World Series of Darts finals.
Okay, Henry, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I'm going to ask you a question.
95.
Do you like the idea of one of the stages here at the MODUS Super Series to be double start? Do you like that idea, or do you think it's too novel?
I think I like the idea of possibly maybe having some specials. So maybe a double start special, pairs special, do all sorts of other specials, maybe a team special.
59.
All sorts of
Steve,
different
you require
formats.
161.
Yes, I like that idea as well, but right now we're sticking to the format that everybody knows and loves. 501 straight start, bull to count as double as well.
70.
And there are two 25s, like a bullseye. And he might even go back to that segment now that he's on 91.
100.
But earlier in the day, he got a 92 checkout where he went double-double. So the double-double again. beckons.
Game shot on the second leg.
The king of the double-double is Steve Brown. I said that the 92 earlier would give him confidence. And with no hesitation, he takes another one, which you have to argue is harder than the other one.
More doubles than Tiger on a Friday night.
I'll take you. I'll take your word
60.
for that. I spent my nights on Fridays here at the Super Series, calling in Group B action, which is exactly what's going to happen this week. And you're going to be with me, Henry.
140.
Indeed I am.
So you're not going to be at Tiger.
Not one of my favourite places anyway, but those student nights, Freshers Week and all of that, it was
137.
some interesting occasions, let's just put it that way. Mind you, they do like a party up in the Toon, don't they?
Oh, yes. For me, one of the
100.
premier nights out in Europe. I am not alone in that thought. We're on the south coast here at the MODUS Live Lounge. Bit of fresh sea air. I wonder what Kevin's going to be doing this weekend. Is he going to be here on Saturday night, or is he going to be
140? Steve, you require 164.
nursing a libation watching his beloved Ipswich Town?
Bit of a battle with Chris Murphy because he's got Sheffield Wednesday at the weekend.
64.
Oh, don't go there.
Kevin, you require
That could get really
121.
ugly. It could get really ugly for Painter if he doesn't take this 1-2-1. Bullseye.
80.
Not close. And Brown,
Steve, you require 100.
do I dare say it? Well, he can't go double-double now. But it's double 19 again.
Game shot on the
boy.
third leg.
What is going on?
Steve Brown.
95 out. That's for the second time, isn't it, in this match? 95 in the first leg, then 95 of the last two, to be 3-0 up.
He's 4 from 3 on the
Fourth leg,
doubles.
it's Kevin to throw first.
He doesn't get any extra credit for the
Game
double-double, though. I had this conversation with another colleague of mine on the European Tour a couple of years ago, where Ricky Evans hit 7 doubles from 6, but there were 2 double-double efforts in there. The first double effort just counts as an approach.
180.
Meanwhile, it's been an assured performance from Steve Brown, a 95.94 average.
125.
Painter there just hitting the first maximum of the match. Brown on the
100.
cusp of victory here. A victory that would put him on to 12 points. It put him 2 behind
140.
Adam Smith-Neale, who occupies third spot. But for Smith-Neale, he's looking at targets above towards the top spot in this
123.
Group A table. Painter leaving 98. But he's going to be under some severe pressure. What a time that is to get your first max of the match. And this 98 now for Kevin Painter has to go.
$78. Steve, you require 56.
So then for the match, 56 to wrap up a 4-0 victory.
Game,
and an
shots,
excellent
and the
performance
match.
from Steve Brown. And that is the biggest average we've seen so far this week. He's done it with an 11 data, an average of 103.66. Absolutely superb from Steve Brown. 4 out of 4 on the doubles as well. Well, we should call it 5 out of 4 because he went for the double-double in the second leg of the match. So we're going to take a short break. When we return, we're going to see Paul Nicholson up on the gantry, and he's going to be having a chat with Chris Murphy.
where things are getting really interesting after that fantastic performance from Steve Brown, his best ever at the Live League or Super Series, Paul.
Great performance. You can't really ask for much more than that. He only got the one maximum, but 4 out of 4 on doubles. But you could say he was 5 from 4 because he got a double-double attempt in there. But the 100 checkout was especially brilliant because he got the single 5 and then recovered with a 95 after it. But I think that brought a big smile to Steve Brown's face, and rightly so. That was a tremendous performance.
It was his first ever 3-figure average in this tournament, 103.66, the perfect double percentage as well. Kevin Painter powerless really to do much about it. In terms of the league table, it's looking really interesting, isn't it? Conor Heneghan was top of it before the day started, 16 points, but he's joined by Andy Hamilton. Smith-Neale back in the picture, and Steve Brown still with an outside chance.
Yeah, I mean, we all thought it might be a 2-horse race, but it's not really going to be the case just yet. I mean, this is such a big game for Andy Hamilton coming up here. He's up against Moreno Blom at the foot of the table. He wants to try and get a bit of pride. He has beaten Andy Hamilton this week, so if he can do it again, then there's people in the practice room who would definitely say, well done, Moreno.
So Hamilton can put himself in pole position if he gets victory here. But it's 10 straight defeats from Moreno Blom since he beat Andy Hamilton in his first match. What does he need to do to stop the rot?
He's got to do what he did in his first game on Monday. He's got to get to the double, and he's got to find it quickly. He was 100% on doubles, like Steve Brown was in the last match in Game 3 on Monday. So that's what he's got to do. He's got to be consistent from the off. And we know that Andy Hamilton's just got that resilient nature. If he gets the decent start, you only see one victory here.
Well, let's get it on. Moreno Blom against Andy Hamilton. Back to Henry.
Thank you very much, Chris. Moreno Blom's only victory so far this week has come against Andy Hamilton. He'll be hoping to repeat the feat today, and if he does, then it really does open up this Group A. He's level on points with Conor Heneghan, but he can do something he hasn't had the opportunity to do so far, and that is go top of the pile. And interestingly as well, the legs difference, which we were talking about at the start of the day, where Conor Heneghan had a 10-leg swing, has been cut in half after just 5 games, 2-5. And a victory for Andy Hamilton would not just see him go top on points, it would also restrict that legs difference lead that Conor Heneghan has. So it is the Hammer who kicks us off. He's been the maximum man so far this week, and I was just wondering whether that first trouble would have helped him in that quest for yet another, but Paul Nicholson has trudged his way down from his quest to get back down from the gantry to the commentary box in time, and
58.
You have so succeeded.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting my steps in this week. It's a great venue to walk around. But when these matches start, you've got to be very respectful to these players. You want to give them the best of order walking around. You don't want to be slamming doors and things like that. But Moreno's got to slam the door in Andy's face. He's got to get something going. 59. He's got to get a little bit of confidence ahead of the next couple of days, in my opinion. He can't keep this losing streak going, because if it does continue, it's going to metastasize into Thursday and Friday, and his opponents in Group C, like Lee Shewan, Liam Meek and Scott Walters, will have him for breakfast.
96.
Some really good players entering that Group C tomorrow. For me, perhaps the most intriguing
58.
group of the week, because you just don't know what you're going to expect from some. Obviously, you've got the debutant in Shewan. Liam Meek has played here before, and we saw bits of his good stuff. It was probably a bit of a mixed bag for him the last time he was here, and we just know all too well what Scott Walters can produce in this competition.
Yeah, Scott Walters is very, very decent. Now, we've talked about long streaks of wins with Jim McEwen setting the record at 16. No one's going to trouble that at this stage of the week, but you're hoping that Moreno's not going to be setting a different kind of record, which is currently held by Aaron Turner of 17 straight losses.
In fairness, he was unlucky in that streak as well. There was a lot of 4-3s in that, if I
very
remember
much
rightly.
so. Yeah, very well said.
95.
That's worked out pretty well. Hamilton on the double. First in the first leg.
97.
Looking to get his second
And do you
win
require 8?
against Blom this week. Suffered a 4-3 defeat on Monday.
Down for double two.
Game shot.
Take the opening leg.
Andy Hamilton.
And Andy Hamilton wins the opener against Moreno Blom, who just needs to get a victory of some description to get some confidence going.
Second leg, it's Moreno to throw first.
Because you just get the sense that the more and the more it's going on, the confidence is
59.
evaporating from his body. And for such a young player as well, this is perhaps a bit of a minefield experience now.
You could call it a baptism of fire.
In a church?
58.
You know, I don't know much about the Bible, so I probably shouldn't say anything. But you might want to look up for a bit of
100.
inspiration, Moreno, because things are not going your way. Andy's made his own fortune in his career because of sheer hard work and willingness to evolve. Even when he thought his game was good enough for the PDC and he was not able to get a tour card back, he went to the BDO, he re-established himself alongside the likes of Wes Newton,
96.
another former Premier League player. And he found the way to Lakeside. He just gathered himself microscopically with his game, and he eventually got his tour card back. He's lost it again since, but he does remind me a little bit of one of his old foes in Simon Whitlock, because he just doesn't know when to quit. And I love that quality.
And you look at the system now in the amateur game. I think Jenna Klassen this year is a great case in point. And that was a great visit for Moreno Blom, who lost his tour card at the end of last year, committed himself to everything, and is now the reigning Dutch Open champion. We saw him in week 1 of this particular phase. We could be seeing the champagne finish here from Andy Hamilton. Double 16.
100.
So close. So close.
That was for the perfect 303. The 171 and the 132 at the end. That was an incredible effort from Andy. Blom has already hit this today.
54.
But he hasn't hit it this time. 2-0 Hamilton is
Andy
beckoning.
required 32.
And if he can get the win in this game by a margin, the way that Steve Brown did against Painter just now, he would be knocking on the door of the leg difference of Heneghan all of a sudden. Oh, it doesn't like that one at all. That's a blocker. This was being thrown from very close to the table.
Game
Wow.
shot on the second
What a
leg.
shot.
Andy Hamilton.
Use of the dart. And that was, like you said, you mentioned Richie Beno yesterday, Henry. That was a bit of a leg spinner around off stump. Caught perfectly. It's
Andy
2-0.
to throw first. Game on.
Not quite dart of the century, but it was a pretty impressive one. And it's a rare blot on the doubles for Blom. But Andy Hamilton here has come out the traps, absolutely firing. An average of 91.8. And that 132 would have been 4-12 darter as well. And nearly lost the leg. As I mentioned, Moreno Blom had 2 darts at double. Now, we don't usually see him pass those opportunities by. And surely with the first treble like that, he's going to pass this opportunity by.
100.
Without getting another treble. Indeed he does, but still handily placed, 2-0 up. And a throw in front, but maybe not for much longer.
85.
Moreno's just got to brush up on that third dart. It seems to me like he's so keen to get rid of it. He's throwing that third dart a lot quicker than the other two. If you look at the metronomic rhythm of Andy Hamilton, everything is thrown at the same pace. And he doesn't go after the visit to retrieve all 3 darts until everything is delivered. It's something that the old school players are masters at, but that one was all right, wasn't it?
And you require 164.
However, if Hamilton gets the 164, Moreno will feel as sick as a pig. Although these days the kids call sick something completely different.
124. Moreno, you require 140.
He has worried the 300 plus shots in 6 twice. A 344 and a 303
and you require
could have been taken, but this is tops for 3-0. So far, so good.
Game
So
shot on the
good.
third leg.
So
Andy
good.
Hamilton.
I'm not going to sing that song. But 3 up, and he gets 3 so goods, and that's the end of it.
You'd be inclined to think that
Fourth
he's the
leg, it's
man to
Moreno
beat
to throw first.
on this final day of Group A. And to believe that some people thought he
140.
never could.
3 180s in this game, and both the averages are very impressive. Strangely, Moreno Blom's starting to play better on the treble 20, but he's run into
140.
a darting heavyweight here who is embellishing on his 99 average, now taking it into 3 figures.
96.
Playing like someone who just refuses to be denied.
Well, at the moment, this is Moreno's best average of the week, 96.5. His previous best was 91.67, so he's playing his best darts of the week. But so is Andy Hamilton here, whose average is above 103.38.
Maybe Steve Brown and Andy Hamilton had the same breakfast. Because it could well be Hamilton and
64.
Brown as the only undefeated players today post round 2. Now in round 3, it's going to be Brown against Heneghan, Hamilton against Painter. Smith-Neale will have another crack at Blom. This is turning out to be a really exciting day so far.
81.
I couldn't have scripted this.
Well, we saw Steve Brown post an average of 103.66 against Painter. For Hamilton, it's 101.33 now, and he's 180 points away. But Blom is on a finish here, the 105.
He's only had 2 darts at a double in this match, as Moreno. He, like Steve Brown, might go for the double-double attempt. Should he go
100
for the bullseye first
Moreno,
on
you
this? But he
require
has been unpredictable in the
105.
finishing department. Tops.
45. Andy,
No, Andy's not going to go
80.
tops. Yesterday he had this checkout and he hit the 60. And he also got the double 10. So over to you, Andy. 4-0 beckons.
For 4-0 victory, that would put him top of the group.
60.
But it drags just low, and Moreno will come back.
Moreno, you require 60.
The way that his darts sit in the board, he wants this to be left centre. Oh, that'll do.
Game shot on the fourth
Because it wasn't in the way.
Moreno Blom.
If he hit the right-hand side of the single, the flight and the whole dart would have been in the way of the tops. I guarantee you that was not on purpose.
Fifth leg, it's
Or-
Andy to throw first.
Actually, I'll retract.
Game on.
It might have been. Because he has done some crazy stuff this week. Like going for treble 17 on a 136 checkout. Which I'm sure was something to do with treble 17, double 17.
100.
If you think about his 152 effort, treble 19, double 19, he's trying to condense the board
46.
so he doesn't have to shift around the circular clock. So on some level it makes sense. It's just a bit unconventional.
I was having a think last night. Imagine how good he'd be on a Yorkshire board.
For those out there who do not know what a Yorkshire board is,
96.
it doesn't look like this. It looks very different. There are different types of boards around the country of the UK. You've got Lincolnshire boards,
96.
Yorkshire boards. There are some more. The Lincolnshire board is one of my favourites, actually. It's all black, small bullseye, and it has a double segment on the outside. No trebles. Which one's the Yorkshire board? Is that the one
123.
that has the larger single segments? Or is it the one that only has the doubles?
I think it's the one with just the doubles, but I'm sure we'll get someone
58.
communicate. We will double check.
Yeah, have a little look online to see what... You don't have to look like this. If you cast your mind back to Bullseye in the Jim Bowen days, he used to call this board a regulation match play board. This is not the only kind of dartboard you can get.
140.
There are other types with different targets.
Could be another idea of a special. The Yorkshire board special.
That would be a commentator's
100.
nightmare.
Andy
Spotter's
require
nightmare.
42.
This could be a nightmare for Moreno Blom as Andy Hamilton looks for the 42. It could be a nightmare for Conor Heneghan because Hamilton is going to get 2 darts at double
shot,
16.
and the
He
match.
only needed the
Andy
one. And
Hamilton.
Andy Hamilton is now the leader of Group A here at the Super Series. He's timing his charge to perfection, and we're seeing yet another ton-plus average here on wonderful Wednesday here at the Super Series. 4 for 9 on the checkouts. That equates to 44.44%. A much improved performance from Moreno Blom there, but it is defeat for him once again against Andy Hamilton. And when we return, what an intriguing battle we've got. Steve Brown yet to be defeated today against Conor Heneghan, who is searching for his first victory of the day.
Into Hamilton in that previous match against Moreno Blom, and if we're going to carry on with the Formula One analogy, well, he's been lapped a few times, hasn't he? It's 11 defeats on the spin for him. A second consecutive average of more than 100. Steve Brown producing one a couple of games ago, and Andy Hamilton following suit, 100.74 rather for him. 4 out of 9 on the finishing, and it sees Andy Hamilton pull clear at the top of the table. Great start to the day for him, hammering everybody so far and moving 2 points clear of Heneghan, who's yet to win a match today from his 2. Adam Smith-Neale hot on his heels, and Steve Brown still in contention as well. So this next match becomes an all-important affair. So far today, Steve Brown has won both of his matches, and Conor Heneghan has lost both of his, having won all 5 of his games yesterday. It's 1 win apiece between the pair of them, Conor Heneghan and Steve Brown, about to do battle, and it's back to the boys in the commentary box.
Yes, thanks, Murph. Finally poised this table now, and for the first time, it's Andy Hamilton who leads it on 18 points. You have to applaud Steve Brown so far today, a personal best in Super Series and Live League darts over the last 18 months for him in his previous match against Painter. So when he goes back to his house later with Kevin, we know who's making the tea. Sorry, Kev. It's going to be you. As for Steve,
First leg, it's
where's
Conor
he
to
going
throw
to be playing
first. Game on.
over the next couple of days? Because you would assume that he's not going to bridge the gap between himself and Andy Hamilton, which is 6 points. There's only 3 matches left, so that's all he can do is get to 18. So we would assume, Henry, that
58.
Steve is now gunning for the top 3.
Most certainly so, but I think the interesting dynamic in this game is, as Chris rightly mentioned in the
45.
introduction, Steve Brown has won both of his games today. Conor Heneghan has lost both of his games today. And we mentioned at the start of the programme about the legs difference advantage
40.
Heneghan has had. Now, that's going to come into play most definitely now, because Hamilton, courtesy of the win and the big win against Moreno Blom by 4 legs to 1, has now brought his legs difference to plus 13. Conor Heneghan's is plus 15. Getting congested at the top end of the table, and Heneghan needs to make a bit of a push. Well, darts like that is most certainly going to help his cause.
We've talked about that statement
59.
of losing tight but winning big. Well, there's a different dynamic to that statement now, because Heneghan has lost tight, but Hamilton
81.
has won big, which is why the legs difference has been bridged somewhat. Only 2 between them now, and it was 10 at the start of play. Brown
180.
back to his brilliant best.
Conor, you require 145.
145.
Game shot
Right
the
on
first
time.
leg. Conor
Perfect timing for
Heneghan.
Conor Heneghan. A big game for him, and it's a big start for the Irishman. And that feels like a KO blow to the bomber in the
Second leg, it's
opener.
Steve to throw first.
Here's me thinking you were paraphrasing Black Box from the early 90s, saying right on time.
100.
Yes, some of my housemates this week listen to awful music. Although that's actually not a bad tune. But Conor's looking to play a very
55.
buoyant tune in this match to try and revive his chances of winning this group. His ideal round 3 is the win against Brown, which would knock Brown out
58.
of any possibility of getting top spot. On top of that, he could really do with Kevin Painter doing him a favour against Andy Hamilton.
58.
It's entirely plausible, because nothing has been predictable today.
Feel lucky you're not sharing a house of Owen Binks, then you would have some interesting musical taste.
You'd only get 2 options: Coldplay or Two Door Cinema Club. He doesn't have anything else on his iPod.
58.
That I can vouch for.
Worst music collection of anybody you've heard of on tour? Unquestionably, Mark Webster.
55.
Just random as well. Everything from Transvision Vamp to Jason Donovan.
96.
How did them two collide?
I don't know. I've asked him that for years and he just hasn't got an answer. Well, Heneghan
55.
had the answer in leg 1, but doesn't seem to have any solutions in leg 2. Brown seems to have slowed down a little bit since that emphatic win
78.
in match 5, which, trust me, did not take very long.
$125. Steve, you require
That's your David
111.
Shepherd. 111. He'd be skipping at the thought of a 111.
Game shot on
And
the
there you
second
have
leg.
it.
Steve Brown.
He's back on it. Is Bomber. Beautifully executed to bring us to 1-all with a 1-1-1.
Third leg, it's Conor to
1-1.
throw first.
1-1-1. Testing, testing.
Like the Fibonacci sequence in here.
76.
It's like coding. That's how a lot of younger people communicate these days, isn't it? I wouldn't know where to start.
100.
Well, no, I need a friend first. Well, Connor's found a friend on the treble 20 bed.
120.
But that third dart befriended him.
$140.
Steve Brown equally finding relations with that treble 20 bed. It's been a tidy performance this from Bomber again. A 92 average, as you can see on your screen there, with the game
81.
solitary maximum. Conor Heneghan 86.7 6-2. He was averaging about 90 across the 2 days was Conor Heneghan. It's just dropped a little bit from that on Wednesday here at the Super Series.
Yesterday, Conor defeated Steve by 4 legs to 1 with a 93.68 average. That was pretty good. But as far as the day before is concerned, it was Brown who won. A somewhat more traditional game. 4 legs to 3 with an average of 82. You wonder if this is going to be the best of the lot. Double 10.
180.
Chance for Brown to break.
Steve requires 68.
Didn't think he was going to get this look. Let's find out if he can take this out. Double top.
Game shot
It's
the
in.
third leg.
And look at the reaction
Steve
from Brown. He wants it. And even if he doesn't get top spot, he'd like to accelerate into Thursday.
You mentioned earlier you spoke with
Fourth
Steve,
leg,
and he
it's
had
Steve to
this
throw first.
skip in his step, didn't he? He has this swagger about him on the stage. The confidence is flowing through him at this present
40.
moment in time.
I just want to make a point, actually, because a lot of darts fans out there who are watching this, or maybe watch it back a little bit later, the way that they communicate to players
45.
like myself and to Steve and to some others, they always judge them on their best darts that they've ever played. And they can easily come up to you and say, well, surely you just
30.
want to play the way you did 10 years ago, that kind of thing. But sports people like to be judged on what they can do now, not what they did
85.
previously. Steve's a different person to 2011. Kevin Painter's a different player to 2012. Andy Hamilton's different now. This Super Series is giving them the chance to find out what kind of player they are in 2022. And as dart fans, what you should do
131.
is judge them on what they're doing now. And what Steve is doing today is really good.
It's an evolution
140.
kind of theory, isn't it, with the players? We know what they've done before, but how can they evolve into this current version of themselves?
Phil Taylor in 2017, roughly around the time where he retired, he was not the player that he was in 2000. Tiger Woods was not the golfer in 2019 that he was in 2000.
39.
It's always about being the best version of yourself now, not who you were before. You can't affect the past, but you can affect the future by what you do in this present moment. It's as simple as that.
60.
Steve finds 3 straight singles there to leave it out, which has been found a couple of times this week already by Painter and by Adam Smith-Neale.
92.
Can he join the 160
Steve,
club?
you require 160.
Sounds like a pretty good club to me. Is your name down, Steve? Nope, you're not getting in.
His housemate Painter got one earlier on today. It's
90.
Conor Heneghan.
Conor, you require 100.
And now the Irishman Hino still going to make himself a hero. If he can get this top, so square us up at 2 apiece. Double 10 will do.
90.
But that's a flyer.
Steve, you require 70.
That was halfway up the M27.
Yeah, he flat out pulled that one left. That was a bad dot for Conor. Double top's been good to Browner.
30.
That was a really tricky dart from the right-hand side.
Conor,
It's
you
an awkward
require
angle with
10.
a flight in your eye line. Hino's looking at 5s. Maybe a centimetre high would be a good guide.
Game shot on the fourth
But who
leg.
needs that when you can
Conor
find the middle with the
Heneghan.
first dart? 2-2 in this one. Interesting times, and I get the feeling that round 3 is going to give us some tight matches just to bunch things
Fifth
up a little
leg, it's
bit more.
Conor to throw first.
Get the sense that the players know the gravity of the next few games. And we wondered
46.
after Heneghan's last game whether the most crucial dart in this group would be a missed 13, a missed single
60.
13, which cost him a dart at tops and then, in the end, cost him victory against Adam Smith-Neale in that decider.
140.
But credit to him, he has reacted well, and this is what you've got to do in the Super Series. You have to react to setbacks. You may have to react to another
180.
setback as Steve Brown makes a comeback on this Wednesday.
What did LL Cool J say? Don't call it a comeback.
45.
He's been here for years. Who said dart players don't like rap music?
180.
Oh, look at that, doubling down. Back-to-back 180s from Brown.
It's like that, and that's the way it is.
He's got more swagger than Jack. All of a sudden, he knows having to stay on the 60. He can't go anywhere else to leave a finish. And he can't bypass his own blockers.
Steve, you require
and Brown
81.
is on Dream Street here. Double 16.
49.
And that's fine as long as he takes it next time.
Akin to the professional miss. As he returns
96.
for 32
Steve, you
for a break of throw
32.
and a 3-2 lead.
Game
And a
on the fifth
14 dart leg. It
Steve
sneaks
Brown.
into the bottom left-hand corner. And Steve Brown will have the darts for the match against Conor Heneghan.
Sixth leg, it's Steve to throw
His
first.
average is 16 less than his previous performance, but in a strange sort of way, it doesn't feel
97.
that much. Because he's had some good moments. He's got 3 maximums in this game. Wasn't the biggest 180 shooter at all coming
60.
into Wednesday's play. Vastly behind the likes of Hino and Andy Hamilton. But today he's starting to
96.
find it. 50% on the doubles, 87 the average. He's had a high check out of 111. It's all looking pretty buoyant for
140.
Steve, who will have to go 18s first here. Well, he should have.
Should have, could have,
58.
didn't. And if Heneghan can get 2 trebles here, he may just pay the price. But he will get away with it.
47. 140.
I love it when Steve's action does not involve his right shoulder climbing. When he delivers the dart with the proper timing, he makes it look effortless. And you're starting to see little bits of frustration creeping into the demeanour of Hino,
50.
who is on the
Steve,
verge
you
of
require
a
110.
third straight defeat.
The swings and roundabouts of Group A. Heneghan, who was
94.
invincible yesterday, is struggling to pick up victories here on Wednesday. And it could well be full advantage to Andy Hamilton in the race to
96.
qualify
Steve
for
requires
Saturday
60.
night's final. Steve Brown wants
Game,
double 8
shots,
to
and
inflict
the
a
match.
third straight
Steve
defeat upon
Brown.
Conor Heneghan. But importantly for Steve Brown, it keeps him in the race for third place in Group A with an 88.41 average, 3 maximums to his name, 57% checkout ratio and a high out of 111. But Conor Heneghan with the biggest finish of the game, that 145, but it turned out to be in vain in the end. It's a 4-2 defeat for him, a 4-2 win for Steve Brown. We're going to take a short break, and when we return, we're going to see Adam Smith-Neale in action against Moreno Blom.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where it's getting very tight at the top and in that race to book the first available spot at Saturday's finals night. And that's after Steve Brown has just got the better of the overnight league leader, Conor Heneghan. A 4-2 success for Brown, a very crucial 1-1-1 checkout in there. That was in response to the 1-4-5 that Heneghan hit in the very first leg of the match. It was looking promising then, but Brown got the better of him, and it's 3 from 3 for Steve Brown, 3 defeats from 3 for Conor Heneghan, and it is all getting very, very interesting and close. We are set up for that grandstand finish in the group. Andy Hamilton before that went top of the table, and Heneghan losing his following match means that Hamilton remains 2 points clear and now has a game in hand over Conor, who won all 5 of his games yesterday. Adam Smith-Neale is in action in the next match today, and he can join Heneghan on 16 points. And Steve Brown, with that perfect record so far, still in contention for top spot. Kevin Painter can't quite make it, could possibly force his way into Group B. Moreno Blom, he's going to be playing in Group C and playing now for a bit of pride in Group A. So that is the next match, a meeting between Moreno Blom and Adam Smith-Neale. As I said, looking to keep himself in contention. It's looking very different to how it might have worked out. Paul Nicholson and Henry Deacon are in the commentary box. Abacus is at the ready.
Most definitely. Everything is being calculated here in the commentary box, although we have the bonus in the 21st century of calculators and iPads and laptops to do all the hard work for us.
I'm glad you do. I brought my MODUS Super Series abacus. I've rebranded it. So if you hear a rattle in the background, it's my little abacus just being tweaked. I'm not sure we're going to need it, though, because it looks like Hamilton is on the warpath to perfection today. He's trying to do what Conor Heneghan did yesterday. And I said to you off
First leg,
yeah,
it's Adam to throw first.
Conor seems to be stuck in that low 80s range with his average today. He's not able to raise it by 6 or 7 points to worry his opponents.
We mentioned the consistency around the 90 mark. Was the issue always going to be that if Conor dropped, it's going to drop to a level where he was going to be
60.
susceptible and vulnerable?
Yeah, I think that's very fair to say. He's won a lot of tight matches over the last couple of days. He's done the right things at the right times, but unfortunately, we've seen from his demeanour in the last match that things aren't clicking at the right times like they have in the last 48 hours. Now, Moreno Blom is trying to snap this streak now, isn't he? Lost 4 games in a row on Monday, 5 yesterday, so that makes 9. He's now lost 2 today, so the losing streak is 11.
140.
Certainly not heaven for Blom. It's the exact opposite. Just sense he needs just that one victory, just to pick up some kind of confidence.
Winning is a feeling, and it's an addictive feeling as well. But on the contrary, losing is a bit of an addictive habit too. It's a very hard habit to get out of.
Moreno,
in the words of Chicago, that great group, it's a hard habit to break.
Well, Blom is looking for the break. He's looking for tops to get to and obtain it.
But require 139.
I think the flight of the first dart just obscured his view of the target. He's going to return, and Smith-Neale couldn't take out the 139.
87. Moreno, you require 40.
And this is a big game for a lot of players in this group. And I think the whole of the practice room will be hoping it is a victory for the young Dutchman, because it helps their causes either at the top end or the mid end of the table. But he gets the breaker throw, leads Adam Smith-Neale by a leg to 0.
Second leg, it's Moreno
to get that first victory since Monday morning, which would just give him all of that confidence that he needs. I just get the sense that, and we mentioned the jigsaw analogy earlier, that he's putting all the pieces in, but at different times. He hasn't put it all together yet.
It's something you do have to learn, and it could be the case that Moreno Blom is just not used to playing round-robin stuff. I don't know what the cafe and bar culture and the dart club culture is like in the Netherlands with this kind of format. I'm sure there's a lot of knockout darts during the week, and he goes to WDF tournaments and plays knockout darts there. But this could be a completely different
93.
setup for him, which he hasn't really warmed to yet. This is a really good learning experience for him, but we know that Smith-Neale has thrived in group format before because he has won a week.
And for a lot of players based in the UK that play open tournaments, a lot of them are round robin format. So they are used to it. Okay, not in this type of environment where you're playing 15 games in the group, but you have to worry about legs difference and points on the board 43. And things like that. And I think Adam Smith-Neale was actually playing in a tournament last night that had a group stage format. Him and Conor Heneghan played in a parallel darts tournament. Do you remember the old Larder UK Masters? It was akin to that, the equal darts rule. That could be another themed week.
Oh, that could throw a lot of cats amongst pigeons. There was a video on YouTube that went
44.
Quite popular recently between, I think it was Bob Anderson and Phil Taylor, where they were talking about equal darts.
140.
It would make going for 50 with 3 darts in hand on the ball, that would make that a bit of a regulation shot.
55. Moreno requires 50.
Moreno going to do on 50? Regulation.
Game
10 for
shot
double
on the
top.
second leg. Moreno Blom.
What's happening here, I wonder? This looks pretty good all of a sudden. But who is this result good for right now? It's not only good for
it's
Blom,
Adam to throw first.
it's bad for Adam. It's good for Brown, because he's hunting down Adam Smith-Neale in the top 3 spots. He's actually now on the same amount of points as Adam, and he's not that far behind in leg difference.
100.
He's starting to bridge that gap.
To be honest, I think it's a good result for everyone in the practice room.
Apart from Adam, who's not in the practice room, admittedly, but he's the one person who loses out if he loses out here.
And that's the issue, being the middle player
82.
in a group that's so tight like this. When you play, you are affecting every single aspect of the table. And of course, remember, legs difference are coming into play. And at the minute, he's 2-0 down. It looks as he might get this one back, but if he loses heavily, Steve Brown may just get an emphasis
Adam,
in the leg difference category if he can get victory. And who does Adam Smith-Neale play next?
Somebody called Steve.
89.
Interesting.
This is why we like Group A. When we come to Wednesday, everything just comes to a head.
58. Adam, you require 78.
Well, Moreno has shown that his abacus is broken by leaving 165.
39.
I think that dart was so bad that even Adam Smith-Neale could do nothing but
75.
criticise his own shot.
Adam, you require 39.
The only way to put it right is to hit it this time, Adam. Double 16.
23.
What a chance for Blom to get a 3-0 lead.
And it'd be for the double
Moreno,
break, can he
require
vote for a 4-0 victory? I'm not sure anyone, without disrespect to Moreno, would have expected this, but
65.
Adam Smith-Neale is
Adam,
going to return
60.
after missing the ball.
Game
And he
shot on
will
the
get
third
the
leg.
double A, and it is
Adam
2-1. And this
Smith-Neale.
is now suddenly a big leg, a huge leg for everyone in this group, for Moreno Blom in the context of winning this match, and for everybody else to see where the group
Fourth
will
leg,
lay
it's Moreno to throw
following the
first.
conclusion
Game on.
of this game. And that dart in the single one, that was almost like Steve Harmison's in the first ball of the Ashes.
171.
I'll have to communicate that to Harmy if I see him up in the northeast of England. There's like a bit of darts, does Harmy?
47.
Yeah, that wasn't the best ball, but I tell you what was a corker. When he got Michael Clark out with a slower ball on the last day of one of those series, that was maybe the best ball he ever delivered.
I think it was recently the anniversary, wasn't it, of the 2005 win?
26.
I wasn't sure that you were a big cricket fan, Henry. I know that now. I know what kind of references I'm going to throw your way.
43.
Let's just say that when they won the Ashes, it was the best legal party that took place at Downing Street.
Don't go there, honestly.
80. Moreno, you require 147.
Right. Okay. Okay.
129.
You don't see many people go 51 first on a 147. He's keeping everybody on their toes.
81.
I don't even know if he's going to go straight
require
for double
18.
nine. He could split it.
Game
But
shot
doesn't.
on the fourth leg.
And that's a great leg for Moreno.
Blom.
He's had some explosive legs this week so far, but now he's only one leg away from getting a second win, and we might be about to see the real
Fifth leg,
Moreno
it's
Blom
Adam to throw
stand
first.
up.
Do you think actually the treble 17 could have actually been the better play because you're staying up when you get the treble 20 for the double 18 compared to going up, down, up again. And if you hit the 17, you leave yourself on 30. Most players know their route from there.
Yeah, I think we're trying to figure out what Moreno Blom's all about. And he's about condensing
60.
the board and not just about having all three darts in the same area. But what he's trying to do is put the combinations in
41.
a better sequence, like you said, Henry. I think there is method to it. It's just a 43-year-old like me just wrestling with the norm,
41.
which has been the norm since the mid-70s. But I suppose the script has just been burned by this young kid
94.
who likes to do things his own way. And I'm all right with that, because anybody who challenges the thought process on finishing or any sort of tactics, it makes for good
60.
discussion.
The sport needs trailblazers. It needs someone just a little bit different every now and then to come out from the blue. Come out from the blue.
100. Adam, you
Already get that
require
one in.
160.
You're going to have to be on watch now, Adam, because Blom could hit this.
55.
That last dart he threw
Moreno, you
was
require
almost magical
170.
to find the 60. It's quite unfortunate not to get a shot at the bulls there, actually,
98.
because those two darts were
Adam,
delivered
you
really
require
well.
105.
Smith-Neale needs this just to hold throw. Otherwise, he's going to stare down the barrel of defeat. He's going to get one dart at top, which
85.
drags low. And so Moreno Blom
Moreno,
running
you
his
require
second victory
72.
this week. And it really would blow Group A wide, wide open if he can take out this 72.
Game,
Tops for the
shots, and
72
the match.
for a
Moreno
4-1
Blom.
victory. And Moreno Blom celebrates his second victory of the week. And you can see the relief on his face. He has struggled at times, so it's great to see him get the victory in the end. It puts him onto 4 points, but in the context of the group, it has made things really, really interesting. 86.5 average, 4 from 8 on the checkouts, which actually, ironically, is one of his worst checkout percentages of the week. The high out of 72, but it is victory for Blom over Adam Smith-Neale. And when we return after the break, a former Premier League battle will take place between Kevin Painter and Andy Hamilton.
Hi there, welcome back to the MODUS Live Lounge at the MODUS Super Series, where we've just seen Moreno Blom end a run of 11 consecutive defeats. The Dutch youngster getting the better of Adam Smith-Neale in a result that really blows the race wide open, potentially though for the Group B places, because Andy Hamilton coming next can put himself in an almost unassailable position. More on that in a moment, but there you see the stats from that previous match. A 4-1 win for Blom against Smith-Neale. Just wasn't at the races in it, an average of 72. 50% checkout though for Blom, who's been good in that department this week, and for once in this match he was able to get more opportunities at double than his opponent. And here is how it affects the league table. Blom on 4 points at the bottom, Kevin Painter on 10, but then Brown and Adam Smith-Neale on 14. Conor Heneghan, who hasn't won yet today, on 16. And Andy Hamilton, as I just mentioned, 2 points clear, and with this game in hand, and if he manages to win it, he can put himself in an almost unassailable lead from Conor Heneghan. So looking good for Andy Hamilton for that finals night spot. But we've been looking forward to this one, as we do every single day, because it is a clash of two former Premier League players. It's a clash of two former World Championship finalists, and it's great to have them on stage here at the Super Series. I'm looking forward to it, and I know that Paul and Henry are as well.
We most definitely are. Thank you very much indeed, Chris. As you say, a former Premier League battle, but the league table battle here is for Andy Hamilton's place to progress through to finals night on Saturday, whilst Kevin Painter would have seen that defeat from Adam Smith-Neale and seen the door open to try and claw his way into Group B tomorrow and Friday night from 10 p.m. here on Sporty Stuff TV. And I just wonder whether this is the game that could be the tricky one for Andy today, because is it sometimes harder to play the player you know so well, or can it go the other way round?
I think sometimes it's better the devil you know than the devil you don't, but I think Andy is firmly aware of what Kevin can do. He will be firmly aware of what's happened this week already. They've got one win each. If we look at Tuesday, this was the point where Andy took advantage of a Painter that was maybe ruffled by Moreno Blom in a somewhat tempestuous match.
60.
He hasn't got that today, but what he has got is a Painter reeling from a 4-0 loss to Steve Brown, admittedly where Steve was as impressive as we've seen from anybody this week.
60.
In fact, I'm quite surprised that we haven't had a great deal of 100 averages this week, but I get the feeling that that's going to change by the end of the week as people do acclimatise to this new setting.
Had a couple today, and as you mentioned, Kevin Painter played
13.
well in that defeat to Adam Smith-Neale, and you just sense today there's a different sort of feeling towards Kevin. It looks as if he's in the mood today, doesn't it?
Even though he's not out of the race for the top spot already, which is kind of ridiculous when you think about we're in match 9 on day 3, but he needs everything to go his way.
100.
As in pretty much every leg. The tighter this gets, the tighter the door is to being clasped shut. He is 6 points behind Heneghan in second position.
58.
I beg your pardon, he is out of the race, isn't he? Because I thought he was on 12 points. He's on 10, actually. So he's not going to be in Saturday night via this group.
100.
But I suppose he's still in with a chance of making the top 3, but it's slim.
It's slim, but where there's a chance, there's hope. And in darts, that's all you need. And we've seen in these groups in the past where you look at certain players and positions in the group and 96. They can just sneak up from absolutely nowhere and take that third spot right on the line. All it takes is one dip from one player, and the dip from him needs to be from Adam Smith-Neale, and he has to hope that his roommate this week, Steve Brown, also doesn't take advantage of the opportunity. Okay, there's things that's got to go his way, but he's still in with the opportunity of third spot in the table. But he may be broken in this opening leg. If Hamilton could have taken out the 147, he's going to leave a handy lead on 52, so the 146 for Painter may have to go.
He's not going to. He's starting to lose the line on that 60 bet already in leg 1.
81 left.
He's recovered well there. 81 left, confirmed by the referee, and that is a
122.
tremendous recovery.
Andy, you require 52.
His problem is, all he can do is watch Andy go for the 52 and a first leg break of throw. Doesn't have to move.
44.
Close but no cigar.
Kevin, you require 24.
And so Painter will return for the double 12 for the hold.
Game
And
shot on
it
the
does
first
sneak
leg.
in
Kevin
bottom right
Painter.
corner, and Kevin Painter does take the opening leg. Andy Hamilton had 2 opportunities there to break the throw of the artist right from the get-go.
Second leg, it's Andy to
They
throw
came
first.
and
Game
went. It is Hamilton with the darts here in leg 2. Unbeaten so far today, and is the player who's making the real charge towards top spot, towards the finishing line.
38.
In Group A, Conor Heneghan won 5 from 5 yesterday. He's lost each of his games so far today. Hamilton, the counter, the reverse.
134.
Do you remember yesterday, Henry, when we were talking about the meeting between Hamilton and Heneghan in game 11, and we thought that that could be key? I said at that point, I hope that this table is such that that match is massive. The only way it's massive
59.
is if Andy loses this game. Because if Andy wins it, and he's 4 points ahead, he knows
97.
that if he beats Heneghan, he is going to win this group. And that's a powerful thing to have in your locker. So Heneghan, who's about 10 meters away from us right now, albeit separated by a couple of walls, he's probably got his hands clasped together right now saying, come on, Kev,
131.
get the win and get it by a margin.
Luckily, he's in a church, so if there's anywhere that his prayers are going to be answered, it would be here.
I don't know if Conor
100.
actually is religious. Because he, in his interview with Chris Murphy yesterday, he did mention a certain celestial being a few times, so it wouldn't be inconsistent with what I know about a lot of my Irish friends. So maybe this is the right setting for Conor Heneghan to have a little bit of divine inspiration.
Kevin, you require 170.
Well, this would be divine inspiration from Kevin Painter if he could nail the big fish. It's not going to happen on this particular occasion. He's going to leave it very handy, though, which forces the hand of Andy Hamilton on the 1-3-3. Otherwise, he could conceivably be broken.
Second time in this match already that Painter has missed start 1 and recovered impeccably.
79. Kevin, you require
Big chance for
45.
2-0. Much better leg than leg 1 as well. Double top.
5.
Just didn't
And do you
have
require
that
54?
look in his eyes as if to say this is definitely going. It was more of a hopeful shot. It was quite unfortunate that it didn't bounce in. But Hamilton, who has been riding his luck a little bit in this leg, has got 1 shot at 10s.
44.
And he's missed
Kevin, you
2
require
darts
40.
in both legs to win it. And Painter can mop up. What a lovely first dart that is. He has to go down the
Game
double
shot on the
10, and he
second
gets the
leg.
double 10,
Kevin
the target
Painter.
that Hamilton missed just a couple of seconds ago. And Painter obtains the break. He opens up a 2-0 lead. And it is getting
Third leg,
very,
it's Kevin to
very
throw
interesting
first. Game on.
at both ends of the Group A table. A victory here for Kevin Painter would put him on to 12 points. 2 behind Adam Smith-Neale
125.
in 3rd place. And the defeat for Hamilton would give Heneghan the opportunity to go level on points with Hamilton. And importantly, both are level at the
58.
minute, or going into this game, on legs difference. Both were on plus 13.
Just to boil things down even simpler as well.
68.
Hamilton wins this match from this position. Steve Brown, Adam Smith-Neale, both eliminated from the possibility of the top spot. It's Whittling Wednesday, remember? We're whittling them down. Blom's already out. Painter's going to be back the next couple of days.
60.
It could be that two-horse race if Andy gets himself off the canvas. But if you look at the score situation right now, it's
55.
It's looking a bit bleak. It's looking a bit Tyson Fury in round 12 with Deontay Wilder. Can he get himself up? But remember, there's no draws in this format.
And no contentious judging either.
No, we don't bother with stuff
42.
like that. Averages tell a pretty below par story, I think it's fair to say.
Do you
77.
think the magnitude of this game, both know how important this is for their respective campaigns, and do you think both are perhaps tight as a consequence of that?
I think you're looking at two 55-year-old dart players as well who've played 12 matches already this week.
93.
I've always said that age is no barrier. There are no barriers in darts. If you're good enough, you can play. Simple as that. But we are looking at two older gentlemen
40.
in our players this week. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're just a little bit tired. This is where you just need that extra kick of adrenaline just to keep you going. And you get that from a big shot, a big score, a big moment.
140.
That'll help.
Kevin, you
But again,
require
Painter,
136.
first to a finish.
136 won't be done on this occasion, so Hamilton will have the opportunity to
60.
obtain a break back.
And do you require 108?
And Painter on 76, so your senses has to go. Half the arrears, and everyone in that practice room will be watching that dart and would have seen that dart and how
76.
crucial that missed number could have been.
Kevin, you require 76.
Oh, now it's got to be 25. He can't believe his luck. Well, unfortunately, it's not about luck. He knows he shouldn't have even been going for the 25.
29.
Has he used up all his lives
And do you require 32?
in this match? And from here, he's going to have to be demonic. Double 8. Missed it earlier. After missing double 16 like that,
Game shot
doesn't
on the
make
third
the same
leg.
mistake.
Andy Hamilton.
That's a 20 darter from the hammer. The standard in this game is not brilliant, but we can't take our eyes off it.
Fourth leg, it's Andy to
It's
throw
like bad
third.
television. I mean, really bad television, but strangely compelling.
It's like watching The Only Way is Essex.
No,
Is it?
nothing is as bad as that, apart from Made in
93.
Chelsea. I don't watch that.
No. No, I should pre-warn that is not my type of TV.
I'd love to know what you were going to say next, though.
Okay.
It's a bit like a bad horror movie.
96.
You know how bad it is, but at the same time, it's brilliant. That's what I was trying to say.
Geordie Shaw would be next on the list, wouldn't it?
It's not a fair reflection of people from Newcastle.
135.
I suppose you got the Real Housewives of Cheshire and...
Well, that's a bit more akin to what, well, geographically closer to where Andy's from.
100.
We know that Kevin's from Essex, but when it comes to TV shows and Kevin Painter, it's all about Gavin and Stacey. Because he's from Billericay, of course, which is the town where Gavin and family are from. And
140.
trust me, he's a big fan of Gavin and Stacey. Kevin and I have spoken about it at length over the years.
And today, it's all the drama, Nico. I love it.
140. And you require 133.
Nice first start. He doesn't have to take this out, but he might anyway.
117.
That's a really good try. Seen a few leaves on bogey numbers so far over the last couple of days,
56.
and they have been
And
costly.
you require 16.
13 darter beckons for a 2-2 game. That's a perfect marker.
Game shot on the fourth leg.
With those
Andy Hamilton.
really girthy barrels in the middle section of the tungsten. you would just like it to be half a centimetre left of that target for the perfect bumper.
Fifth leg, it's Kevin to throw
And
first.
this one's been turned
Game on.
around. That's 76 checkout for Painter in leg 3. The one that he didn't get a shot at double at. That's proven to be the most important
45.
visit of Kevin's match so far.
Is there a danger when you leave 75 with 2 darts in hand, you can play too safe with the positioning of the 25 that eventually you don't actually hit it altogether, so you don't get a shot at the bullseye?
Well, professional dart players should be going for the 25.
140.
There's a big argument saying go for the centre of the board and hope you get the 25. It's not like that. What you want is to pick a section of that 25 and go for it. Just understand how your darts behave. I always used to go for the
100.
25 and try and get the bottom left. You obviously hit the bullseye every now and again. It's just one of those things. But people who can deliver a dart on a pinhead like these guys, you have to pick a section. If you miss, it's because you weren't
42.
accurate enough. Simple as that.
And for as much as we analyse the game, that is as simple as it boils down to. Well, this is
55.
boiling up in its unique way. Both know the consequences of victory and defeat in their respective battles on Wednesday. For Hamilton, it's about topping the group, where he currently is on 18 points. He's moved himself 4 points clear following his 13th game. Heneghan's also played 13 games. But Kevin Painter, victory put him on 12.
140.
2 points behind Adam Smith-Neale in third.
We've talked a little bit about Jim McEwen's 14 wins from 15 in week 4. If you were to analyse all of his performances from that week, not all of them were brilliant. He did have a few victories that
Kevin,
were really tough going. And if Hamilton is going to win this group, he's obviously going to have a couple of those along the way. This is one of his toughest battles. But he's on the cusp of a 3-2 lead after being 2-0 down.
And do you require 54?
Should have been 3-0 down.
But this has been true brinksmanship darts for Andy Hamilton. Tops for 3-2 for the break of row.
Andy Hamilton.
From 2-0 down, then possibly facing a 3-0 deficit. He's suddenly throwing for the match and throwing for a 4-point lead at the top of Group A. Things could be coming to a head very, very quickly.
Doubles attempts and hits, as you can see. 30% for Hamilton.
100.
Painter, 2 hits from 7. He's not happy. Whenever he does that little pause, it's because he wants to try and refocus. One of the good things about this position, yes, there are good things about
44.
this position, because he's already beaten Andy 2-0 in a mini-match already. I'd be saying that to myself, Henry. I'm 3-2 down. I was 2-0 up. I've beaten him 2-0 before. I can do it again.
95.
A bit like a football coach breaking a game down into thirds.
Absolutely. We talk about the group being a game of 3 halves. Somewhat
100.
disastrous play on words, but in this format, you've got to break it down. If you get to 2-0, you're thinking, I can get to 4-0. If you're 3-2 down, you think about the positives. I've won 2 straight legs. I can do it again.
83.
He has a big problem, though. He's a 2 treble visit behind.
$137.
There are those 2 trebles. Much better. Hamilton retains the darts after 9 throws each. And what he's thinking right now is leave 83 or better. How about better?
180.
That is the first maximum of the whole match.
He said Hamilton's been the maximum man, but it's been the timing of the maximums which is plays to perfection. And there may not be a more perfect time than now, because it gives him 43 for the match. Double 8.
27.
The chance comes and goes.
Kevin, you require 140.
In the words of the great Chariot, hold your horses. Hold them. Oh, what a chance that
93.
was. Maybe that first start was just a
And
little
he
low
requires 16.
in that 60 bed to have a bedfellow, but double 8 for Hammer. Match start 5.
No score.
Doesn't hit.
Kevin, you require 47.
I'm surprised. I'm sure you all are too. Even Kevin is surprised. Andy in the background, befuddled.
Befuddled and bemused.
27.
Kevin's far from amused. You can see it on his face.
And he
And
requires
Hamilton
16.
is going to return for an opportunity he probably didn't think he was going to get at double 8. Double 4. More mismatched darts.
Game,
But
shot,
he gets there
and the match.
with match dart
Andy
number
Hamilton.
7. And Andy Hamilton opens up a 4-point lead at the top of Group A here at the MODUS Super Series of an 86 average and the solitary max of the match, which was timed to perfection for the Hammer, the higher of 54 as well. So he has a 4-point lead at the top of Group A. And we have a crucial battle coming up after the break. It's going to be in the battle for 3rd place. Adam Smith-Neale and Steve Brown are level on points. They won't be by the end of it. Who's going to be 3rd? We'll find out next.
Afternoon and welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where it is hammer time. Andy Hamilton on a fantastic run after a fantastic comeback victory against Kevin Painter in that previous match. The Hammer lost the first 2 legs of the game, but then stormed back to win it 4-2. 5-ton 40s and a 180 in there for Hamilton, getting the better of Kevin Painter. It was a disappointing end to the Group A action.
But Andy Hamilton, well, he is firmly in the box seat now. He's moved 4 points clear of Conor Heneghan. Will play Conor Heneghan in his next game, but it's going to be in Hamilton's hands whatever happens in that match. Who would have thought that at the end of yesterday when Heneghan was stood here talking to me, having won 5 out of 5 of his matches. Struggling today, but the action now continues with a match between Steve Brown and Adam Smith-Neale, and that one is a battle potentially for third place. Could be decisive in that race as well. The pair of them tied on the same amount of points in that race for third. Remember, whoever gets that spot will be in Group B in the evening sessions on Thursday and Friday, where 3 players from 5 go through as opposed to 2 from 6 in Group A. So a big advantage by doing that. This could be a very big match, and Paul Nicholson and Henry Deacon will call you through it.
Thank you very much, Chris. The next 2 games could be the most pivotal in Group A. After this, Andy Hamilton and Conor Heneghan, the 2 players at the top of the group, will go toe-to-toe. But for these 2, it is the battle for third place. That defeat for Kevin Painter eliminates him from that field, as one of these 2 will make it on to 16 points following the conclusion of this match. Steve Brown has been the form man today. He's won each of his last 3, up against Adam Smith-Neale, who was disappointing in that defeat to Moreno Blom. But if there's one player that can wipe a bad performance and a defeat from his mind and just go again with a fresh mindset, you'd probably put Adam Smith-Neale right at the top of that list.
I would assume that is correct, because I don't think I've ever seen Adam with no confidence.
First leg, it's Steve to
even
throw
after a
first. Game on.
But he's going to have to do something that nobody's done today, and that's defeat this guy. He's having maybe his best ever day with us at the Super Series. We talked a little bit earlier in the week about how he'd never won 3 consecutive matches in Super Series darts.
134.
He's now done it twice this week. So Steve is definitely on an upward trend, and that's bad news for Smith-Neale, who in his previous match only averaged 72. And he's up against a guy who's gone as far north as 103.66 today. So
85.
I'll be fascinated to see what the bookmakers have got on this one. Because for me, right now, I'd have Steve Brown as favourite.
180.
And that was before he hit that 180, by the way.
I was going to say, the prices have tumbled now. As things stand, 10-11 on Steve Brown. 4-7 on Adam Smith-Neale. But it changes all the time, as does the ebbs and flows in this opening leg.
100.
A few seconds ago, you had Steve Brown as favourite.
102.
Adam Smith-Neale temporarily is in the box seat. He could have it in his leisure if he can pin the double 16.
Game
for the
shot
102 for a break
Adam
and flow.
Smith-Neale.
And that could be a clutch visit right at the very start of the match. An excellent first leg from both. Carry on like that, fellas.
Well, he's just proven your point,
Second
right?
leg, it's Adam to throw first.
Talk about bounce back ability.
Game on.
One of his best legs of the week.
If he bounced back any better, it would have been a trampoline.
48.
Can you imagine somebody throwing darts from a trampoline? What could possibly go wrong?
Could you imagine health and safety signing up?
No.
45.
It would triple in size. You don't want to see dart players on trampolines. It would just get messy. Oh, this is nothing but messy.
140.
And I mean messy in a good way, like Lionel Messi.
We'll have Ronaldo fans tweeting you as we speak.
I'm not going down there. I'm not going down that route. I know that they're not going to get the Ballon d'Or, because they don't deserve it this year. Should go to Karim Benzema, who, funny enough, looks a bit like Adam Smith-Neale with that beard. I bet you didn't know where I was going with that one.
140.
You knew where Adam Smith-Neale was going with Dart 3. He's transformed himself over the last 10 minutes to get himself ready for this encounter.
77.
Smith-Neale does have an excellent record against Steve this week. He's won both of their matches.
85.
And in fairness to Steve Brown, he's averaging 97 and he just isn't getting 99. A look in at this
Adam, you
present moment in time.
88.
And after 12 in the opening leg, he's looking for 14 in the second. Tops. That was the MO. It had to be the MO after
Steve, you require 140.
single eight.
Yeah, I think the single 8 was a bit of a flyer. I think he was going for the treble 16 for tops, but he didn't stop. He didn't refocus. He just went straight for the 2 double tops. It didn't work out, but
Adam, you require 40.
everything seems to be falling into his lap right now. Double 16.
Game shot on the
that
second
section
leg.
of the board seems
Adam
to be working.
Smith-Neale.
Even though the double top isn't. 2-0 Smith-Neale. And I thought it was Brown as the favourite. I've got a very different outlook now.
Third leg, it's Steve
we
to
both
throw
know, Henry, that
first.
2-0 is a bit of a poison chalice over the last game and a bit. It didn't work for Painter.
40.
And maybe the luck factor, the fortune factor, does not favour the Brown right now.
Well, they say in other sports 2-0 is the most dangerous scoreline.
99.
And as Nico rightly mentioned, it was precarious in the last game. But Steve Brown's just got to keep playing as he does and just hope
140.
that Smith-Neale just brings it down just a tad, just a touch.
59.
You know what, the more I look at Adam Smith-Neale, the more he looks like Karim Benzema. He's still got that beard, doesn't
100.
he? He's playing for Real Madrid.
Good question. I don't get to watch much Champions League, so I'll have to have a... They play last night, or are they playing tonight?
134.
I don't know, I was too busy listening to the tears of Spurs fans as they lost to Sporting Lisbon.
Don't mention that on commentary tomorrow morning with Phil Bars.
I'm not, trust me.
I did gently remind him yesterday that Portsmouth,
54.
Swansea City and Wigan Athletic have all won major trophies more recently than Spurs.
Gently. I like that word. And you could say that Adam Smith-Neale really does
Steve, you
deliver those
require
dots quite gently
167.
through the air. Quite contrary, in fact, to his character. Because he's brash, he's bold, he's confident, and he's got quite a graceful throw.
102.
Doesn't really fit his personality.
Adam, you require 110.
This would suit him. Down to the ground.
90.
Unfortunately,
Steve,
it's not
you require
3-0.
65.
This is where things could turn. Double top.
Game shot on the third leg.
Turning
Steve
perfectly,
Brown.
like he's on rails. And a little bit of gumption there from Steve, which we don't mind whatsoever. This one could get interesting in the next 5
Fourth
minutes.
leg, it's Adam to throw
Because
first.
Adam got the break, he's still going to have the throw to keep the 2-leg gap.
140.
That's a good way to open it. Forces Steve Brown into attack mode. It's a declaration of intent.
Have you noticed the grooves on Adam's points?
44.
I remember a time where all pieces of equipment that were used by players were smooth points, but now, with the introduction of many a different type of points,
97.
everybody wants their darts to grab the sisal on the dartboard and stay where they are. You can see Steve is using a smooth
45.
point, but there are patterns on Adam's points here. So when it gets into the plant material, the sisal,
140.
it just grasps it. And it takes a bit of yanking to get those out the board. But when you find something that you like or that works, or both,
137.
keep using
Adam,
it.
you require 124.
Doesn't have to use the ball on this occasion. So
96.
sets up for double 14. Interestingly. Anna Smith-Neale going down the mid to Suljevic.
125.
Route will
Adam, you
have
require
the similar
28.
success to the great Austrian. Down for double 7.
Game shot on the fourth
And if that
leg.
went inside,
Adam
things could have got
Smith-Neale.
messy, but it didn't. And Adam Smith-Neale opens up a 3-1 lead. Steve Brown has got to be perfect from here. Otherwise, his chances, not just
Fifth
in
leg,
this
it's
game,
Steve to
but
throw
his
first.
chances of progressing through into Group B would be heavily scuppered.
120.
That's the second time in 2 legs that Steve's had a dart on the floor.
$57.
One of the only reasons that we assume that Conor Heneghan is going to be in Group B at the very worst.
140.
Because of his very healthy leg difference of plus 13. If you look at Steve Brown's, it's -1. Smith-Neale
180.
gets another maximum here. Is at +1.
123.
This is a really good game all of a sudden. Just toing and froing in the best style.
100.
Smith-Neale's
Steve, you
ability
require
to shake off what happened
180.
against Moreno Blom, I applaud it. That could have played on your mind for the rest of the day. Losing to the person who'd lost 11
Adam,
matches
you require
straight.
164.
This would be the ideal way of ending the match.
But it is
98.
still game on.
Steve, you require 40. Game shot
Very
on the
much
fifth
so
play.
now. And Steve Brown brings it back to 3-2. But when you break early on, when you're the player throwing second in the match and you open up the 2-0 lead, if you can keep the cushion,
Sixth though,
it
gets Adam
affords
to
you
throw
this
third.
opportunity, the chance to throw for the match, to put himself onto 16
44.
points. To put himself in a really good position to qualify into Group B, to scupper the hopes of Steve
100.
Brown, who's the only realistic rival, the only rival for that spot below, and Kevin Painter can't make it because someone will get onto 16 and Painter can only get on to 14, which both these players are on now. But are the tables turning?
180.
I just wonder if there's a little switch that has been flicked by Steve
100.
that tells him, you haven't lost today, and I'm not in the mood to lose at all.